Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to begin with a shlok in Sanskrit. Vishwasya katva bhaven sandhi sayata sukrit prada vidya vinime yanayev samrati bhavti isthira. With the spirit of global unity, collaboration becomes virtuous. Through exchange of knowledge, prosperity becomes lasting. It's my privilege to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this inaugural ceremony of ICAI Global Week 2025, being organized virtually from 29th September to 7th October 2025 on the theme Navigating Global Opportunities. This Global Week is a flagship initiative of ICAI under the aegis of Development of International Trade Services and WTO Directorate, bringing together global leaders, policy makers, regulators, and professionals to deliberate on emerging trends and opportunities in this increasing interconnected world. At the outset, on behalf of the world's largest professional accounting body, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, I am honored to welcome our distinguished guests of honor, Mr. John Bouquet, President of IFAC, and Shri Darpan Jainji, Joint Secretary, Department of Commerce, Government of India. We are deeply grateful for your gracious presence today, which lends immense value and significance to this event. I also extend a very hearty warm welcome to our President ICAI, CA Charanjot Singh Nandaji, Honorable Vice President ICAI, CA Prasanna Kumar DG, Convener of the Development of International Trade Services and WTO Directorate, CA Abhay Chajerji, Deputy Convener of the Directorate, CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal-ji, respected Central Council members who are present here today, all our eminent dignitaries, speakers, and participants. I welcome you all. This Global Week reflects ICAI's commitment to fostering a deeper understanding of international trade services and global regulatory framework. I wish that this program will bring fruitful results and will inspire meaningful dialogue, foster collaboration, and help us navigate the global opportunities that lie ahead. Once again, I extend my heartfelt welcome to all of you for this inaugural ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ajay Kumar Batraji, the Secretary ICAI, for your opening remarks. So, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to each one of you to this ICAI Global Week, being virtually organized from 29th September to 7th October on the theme Navigating Global Opportunities. So I'm truly overwhelmed and extremely privileged to have the eminent and distinguished gathering today. Starting with, thank you so much, Mr. John Bouquet, for joining this Global Week inaugural, the President of IFAC. Thank you so much, sir, for joining this inaugural session, sparing your valuable time today with all of us. Also will be joining by us, Shri Darpan Jainji, Joint Secretary, Department of Commerce, very soon. Our Honorable and Visionary President ICAI, CA Charanjot Singh Nanda, sir. The truly dedicated, committed CA Prasanna Kumar D, the Vice President of ICAI. My colleague in the council was physically present here, CA Durgesh Kabra ji and CA Arpit Kabra. Virtually present, Deputy Convener, CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal ji of the WTO, CA Sanjeev Sanghi. Truly honored to have the chairperson and the vice chairperson from Singapore chapter, C. Anuradha Shroff, the chairperson. Thank you, madam, so much for joining. And Sanjay Gattani, the vice chairperson. And of course, we also have Rishi Bhatia. I can see it on screen. She's joined. So once again, welcome all of you for joining this very important global week inaugural starting 29th September. Just to give you a little background, we have every jurisdiction being covered in this next 7 days, the Global Week, a unique initiative of the Directorate covering Asia, Africa, United States, Europe, Canada, Middle East, and Australia. So ICAI Global Week is a unique initiative, like I said, designed to bring together global leaders, policymakers, professionals from all across the world to deliberate on the opportunities and challenges facing the profession in an interconnected economy. The theme, Navigating Global Opportunities, could not be more timely as the globalization of professional services, particularly accountancy, demands that we as professionals understand emerging trends and regulations, sustainability, technology, and business models. This platform is meant to empower our members with insights into developed as well as emerging markets, international trade dynamics, global capability centers, forensic accounting, and governance reforms. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, with its presence in more than 47 countries through chapters and representative offices, has established itself as a globally recognized body. Through partnership with regulators, international organizations, and IFAC, ICAI continues to promote high-quality standards, ethics, and capacity building across borders. From the Directorate, we've been regularly doing series of capacity building initiatives and policy dialogues focusing on areas such as forensic accounting standards, global capability centers, sustainability reporting, and international taxations. In today's fast-changing environment, challenges such as technological disruption, ESG compliance, and evolving regulatory framework require us to act collectively. Our financial reporting and governance worldwide, I also urge the members to make most of this week to learn, to interact, to network, to prepare themselves for seizing opportunities in both developed and emerging economies. I'm happy to share each day on starting 29th till 7th of October, we have eminent global leaders speaking on various topics, speaking about global opportunities, speaking about networking collaborations, speaking about investment opportunities, how we can do collaborate and do opportunities or create among themselves. Their participation will definitely add immense value to our discussions and enrich the perspective shared during this event. So once again, before I conclude, I'm very honored and privileged to have our IFAC President, Sir John Bouquet, sir. Thank you so much. Our Honorable President, Vice President, all Council members, all the respected dignitaries which are there virtually present, my Council members virtually present, all the participants for the inaugural of this Global Week. I'm sure this would be extremely insightful discussions throughout the week, which knowledge sharing, opportunities, networking. Thank you once again, all of you, for joining. And I would now request our Honorable Vice President, sir, to share his words of wisdom. Thank you.
Most respected Mr. John Bouquet, the President of the International Federation of Accountants, IFAC, and the chief guest for today's function. Respected CA Chandra Singh Nanda, sir, Honorable President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and CA Abhay Charge, the Chairman of Development of International Trade and Services Committee and WTO Committee, and the Vice Chairman, CA Sanjeev Singhal, and CA Dr. Jayakumar Batra, the Secretary of ICAI, and all our colleagues in the Council. Oh, this is Darpan Jai, who has joined just now. Welcome, sir. Joint Secretary. And all the speakers, coordinators for this Global Week, and the participants. So good afternoon and good morning to some of you. And I feel privileged and feel proud to participate in today's inaugural function of the Global Week of ICAI 2025. So where the theme is Navigating Global Opportunities. It's a very unique program that's organized by the ICAI under the dynamic leadership of the Committee for International Trade. And they have been doing a lot of programs of this kind in the respective jurisdictions. I think they all covered almost all the major jurisdictions where some number of opportunities are open for the Indian chartered accountants. They thought it fit. Looking at the response they got over last couple of months where they have been holding such programs, they thought there should be a global week where the entire worldwide, whatever the globally worked opportunities they want to discuss. There's a unique program where all those who wanted to go beyond the boundaries, beyond the borders, is an opportunity to know what are the investment opportunities, other things that they have to pursue. And we're all aware that we live in the era of where globalization is a buzzword and every day, and where the digital transformation is happening and sustainability imperatives are there, and also cross-border collaborations and transactions are happening and developing day in and day out. In this dynamic environment, the contribution of chartered accountants, particularly the accounting professionals, is going to be immense, and there are a lot of opportunities will be there for every accountants across the globe. When you talk about the chartered accountants in India, we're all aware the chartered accounting curriculum has been designed in such a way, and also the practical training is also designed in such a way that Indian chartered accountants will be able to perform and will be relevant in all the jurisdictions across the world. That's the way Indian chartered accountant is adaptable to any situation in the entire world. If you have to localize, we are having MRAs, and we are also having MOUs on international trade and practices and services across the globe and the major jurisdictions. I'm sure with the presence of Indian chartered accountants, with so many, more than 50 chapters spread across 80 countries and representative offices, we are sure that this particular initiative, we are involving all the chapters across the world, and also speakers drawn from across the world who have got presence and who have got knowledge and what is happening in the accounting services across the world have been picked up. It's going to be of immense useful to all the participants. We're also sure that the theme is to show us what are all the investment opportunities for investors from India across the globe. That is number one. And what are the opportunities for chartered accountants across the globe, including the consultancy practice. That's how this has been designed. I'm sure we're all going to be benefited out of the deliberation. I wish you all the best. I take this opportunity to especially welcome, a grand welcome to Mr. John Bouquet, the IFAC president, on this occasion on behalf of the Institute of Chartered of India. Wish you all the best. Let's have a great learning in the global week to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vice President Sir CA Prasanna Kumar D, for your words of wisdom, truly encouraging and always giving a message for dedication, commitment as a professional, as a chartered accountant, which we'll have to foresee. So thank you so much, sir. Now I would request and honor to welcome CA Charanjot Singh Nanda, President ICAI, for his presidential address.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Truly a momentous occasion. Truly honored to be amongst all of you. And it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the inauguration of ICAI Global Week 2025 on the theme Navigating Global Opportunities. This week-long celebration of ideas and insights is a unique initiative of ICAI to bring together thought leaders, policymakers, industry captains, and our global fraternity of chartered accountants onto one platform. I am particularly delighted to welcome our guest of honor, Mr. John Bouquet, President of IFAC, whose presence today underlines the spirit of collaboration that defines the global accounting profession. I also warmly acknowledge the presence of ICAI Vice President, CA Prasanna Kumar D, Shri Darpan Jain, one of the very revered friends of the Institute, who has gone steps ahead to ensure that trade occurs between all the countries. I have with me CA Abhay Chhajet, convener DIT SWTO, and CA Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singhal, the deputy convener of the directorate. I also have certain speakers and my council colleagues, Madam Anuradha Shroff, the chairman of Singapore chapter, Shri Sanjay Gatani, the vice chairman. We have Madam Rashi Bhatia, very esteemed council colleagues, Durgesh Kabra ji, Sanjeev Sanghi ji, Arpit Kabra ji. So all of us have to work and create value. Friends, you all know that we are living in an era of unprecedented global change, rapid digitalization, shifting trade dynamics, climate commitments, sustainability imperatives, and geopolitical transitions are shaping how businesses operate and how we should respond as professionals. For the accounting profession, this means not only upholding trust and integrity in financial reporting, but also equipping ourselves to lead in areas such as ESG and sustainability reporting, forensic accounting, global capability centers, and advisory on cross-border taxation and trade. The ICAI, with a legacy of more than 75 years and a presence in 85 cities of over 45 countries, through its chapter and representative offices, has positioned itself as a strong pillar of the global profession. Our members today are driving transformation in boardrooms, governments, financial institutions, and multilateral bodies across continents. The Global Week is a reflection of our commitment to supporting them with knowledge, insights, and network to seize opportunities in both developed and emerging markets. As we inaugurate this Global Week, I wish to emphasize that the profession future rests on three very important pillars: collaboration, innovation, and inclusiveness. Collaboration with global bodies like IFAC and regulators ensures harmonization of standards and mutual recognition. Innovation in practice areas fueled by technology and new age skills keeps us future ready. Inclusiveness by empowering our members worldwide and contributing to public interest help us create true global impact. And when we talk about the collaboration, innovation, and growth, I am thrilled to welcome you all to India for our flagship program, World Forum of Accountants 2.0. I would also like to highlight the work being done by the Directorate, which is tirelessly engaging with governments, industry, and international organizations to promote Indian professional services. Their initiatives, such as dialogues with the Ministry of Commerce and the help by visionaries like Mr. Darpan Jain, participations in global financial roundtables and capacity building programs are paving way for greater international mobility and recognition of our members. This week, we will hear from leaders across regions: Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Europe, USA, Canada, and Australia, who will share perspectives on trade, governance, sustainability, digital disruption, and professional opportunities. I encourage every participant to engage actively, absorb learnings, and carry forward the insights into their professional journeys. Before I conclude, let me affirm ICA's commitment to being a partner in global progress. We remain steadfast in our mission to uphold excellence, ethics, and innovation while enabling our members to navigate new frontiers. Together, let us use this platform to not just explore opportunities, but to shape a profession that contributes meaningfully to the economies and societies worldwide. Let me very candidly put across to you, Mr. John Bouquet. Indian chartered accountants are truly nationalist, but they work incessantly for the progress of the economy where they live. We are known for our contribution, and by God's grace, we know that the economy where we work, we need to contribute at the highest level. So with these words, I once again welcome you all to ICAI Global Week 2025. I am confident that this week will be a milestone in our collective journey of navigating global opportunities. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, President Sir, for your presidential address. I think truly said, we are partners in global progress, and definitely that's the theme we talk about on the World Forum of Accountant, the WOFA, which is there from 30th of January to 1st of February. So 30th, 31st, and 1st February 2026, the World Forum of Accountants. Thank you very much, President Sir. Now, truly an honor and privilege to have the Joint Secretary, Ministry of Commerce. Thank you so much, Darpan Jainji. I think it was very short notice, but you accepted our invitation in such a short notice and are here among all the participants. Would certainly request your words, your deliberation, and the relationship with ICI and the initiatives jointly we are taking at the Ministry of Commerce. Over to you, Darpan Jainji.
Thank you so much, Abhay. I hope I am audible.
Sir, very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it is very difficult to follow after President's speech. His speech was so evocative and it was almost hair-raising. So it will be very difficult to emulate. But let me put forth some views from Department of Commerce. And as you know, I handle international trade and services. Our Ministry of Commerce and Industry is very strongly pursuing how to enhance international trade and services from India, exports, imports, and we see business services as a very significant part of trade and services. The last year numbers show that there has been almost $2 trillion of trade in cross-border other business services. And these other business services comprise professional services, advisory services, consulting services, and I am sure accounting, advisory, and auditing services, they play a very key role in exports as well as imports. Now, we also see that most of the countries are facing demand of chartered accountants and accounting professionals. There is a demand in US, Canada. We see most of the countries are having shortages. And India, with its rising demographic dividend, is actually very well placed to meet. We have skills which are available at scale, which can fulfill this demand. Now, what are our efforts in this regard? What are the efforts of Ministry of Commerce with ICAI in this regard? So I would only like to mention 4 efforts which we are making. One, we are trying to undertake free trade agreements with some of the key countries so that the professionals and the professional services don't find any difficulty in providing their services in these markets. There are no limitations on them to provide services. They don't need discrimination when they provide these services. So we are trying to ensure an environment of certainty for our service providers, especially in the professional services and business services. You would have seen very recently we signed FTA with UK. We also entered into a FTA with EFTA countries, which is Switzerland, Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland. That FTA will also enter into force from 1st of October. We are also having negotiations going on with Europe. We are also negotiating with many other countries. So one of our key objectives is to get market access, certain market access without restrictions for our professionals and service providers. The second important thing which we are trying to do, which we are partnering with ICI also on, is building a foundation to undertake mutual recognition agreements. As we all know, professionals sometimes face this barrier that they are not recognized in the country in which they have to provide services. So we are laying a foundation in the FTAs itself as to how we can expedite mutual recognition agreements with the countries with which we enter into FTA. Whether you take UK FTA or you take EFTA FTA or UAE FTA prior to that, or even Australia FTA, all these FTAs have provisions for entering into mutual recognition agreements in a time-bound manner. So that is the second thing which we are trying to ensure. Third thing, of course, Ministry of Commerce is also looking at what are the domestic reforms which are required in the profession, in the supply of services which we need to undertake to ensure that our services remain globally competitive. We have the best of ecosystem in providing services. We are also harmonized and updated with the best practices which are there in the world. So that is another area on which we work jointly with other ministries, whether it is Ministry of Corporate Affairs, or other ministries in this regard. And the last point, important point on which we work is promoting our brand, promoting India brand of professionals, how to ensure resolve issues which they face in other, support them in establishing outside. ICAI has done a great work in establishing chapters and representative offices in so many countries. I think that is something which needs to be supported. So that is another area on which we work with ICAI and other professional bodies. Now, I'm really excited that today we are starting this global week, and I really congratulate ICAI on this initiative. It is really an initiative which is worth emulating, and there are only a few in this regard that I looked at the schedule. I saw that you are also working on some of the standards. You are trying to upgrade the knowledge, the educational requirements of our members, which are located in different countries. So it's a very important work. So I think for us to work in global market, we need to be aware of what are the laws and regulations which are prevailing in other countries. And also we need to overcome the barriers of language wherever they exist. So I think that is one important area. Second important area on which I think we need to work is, as President also mentioned, innovation, technology is something which is the future. Accounting, auditing, taxation advisory, all this will undergo a significant change with new technology, new age skills, use of more and more data, and artificial intelligence. So I think that is another area on which ICAI is working, and we need to build upon that. The third important area, I think, in which all our chapters can really do a great work is engaging with the professional bodies outside India. How we can engage with them, jointly work with them, understand what their systems are, and ensure that we can have a mutual recognition agreement or a MOU with them, so that it becomes seamless for our professionals to provide services in those countries and professionals of those countries to provide services in India. So I think that is another thing on which we need to work. And the last and the most important is ensuring that our standard, our quality is globally benchmarked, and the systems are of high excellence. So I think these are the areas in which ICAI has done great work, and I wish you all the best to keep working on these areas. And I wish the Global Week a success. And we are always there. Ministry of Commerce stands with ICAI in this initiative, and we will partner in taking this forward. Thank you so much, Abhijit. Thank you so much, President, Vice President, and all the members of ICAI team for inviting and giving me this opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Darpan Jainji, the Joint Secretary of Ministry of Commerce, sir. Thank you so much for joining. I think rightly mentioned some of those important points. You mentioned about engaging with professional bodies. Certainly, that's an important area we have to look at. MRAs, of course, with your support, I think with the ministry, we are able to increase the numbers. Currently, we have 8 plus a lot of MOUs we have done. And going forward, the MRAs, certainly with other jurisdiction, we'll have very soon. And like you said, that the areas of innovation, technology, we've talked about AI. Of course, there is a separate identity committee now of AI. ASG, we talk about the ESG, which is sustainability, again, has become a very important. So rightly mentioned. Thank you so much, sir, joining with us. All the participants truly enriched with your words of wisdom. And now I would sincerely request, with deep gratitude and honor, that we have today our IFIC President, Mr. John Bouquet, sir. Thank you so much. I think you were the first one to join this virtual meeting. So we've been waiting for some time, but so nice and kind to have you here. So it's certainly everybody, we have almost touching 800 to 800 participants who are now listening you from India. So truly will be overwhelmed with your words of wisdoms. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, President Honorable CA Nanda, Vice President CA Prasanna, ICAI leaders, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues who are on screen. I'm Jean Boucaud, as has been just said, so member of IFAC board, president of IFAC, the International Federation of Accountants. And I am honored to join you and say a few words for ICAI Global Week. I thank IFAC president and the whole leadership team for extending this invitation. I'm presently in Beirut, Lebanon, for an international congress organized by local PAO, LACPA. I hope my connection will be fine. Some of you might not be familiar with IFAC. I will be very short. We are the global organization of the accountancy profession. We represent millions of professional accountants through our 187 member organizations across 142 jurisdictions. And I can describe our role in terms of the value we bring to our members, which we call our member value proposition, and which rests on three pillars: connection and unity, integrity and global recognition, and finally, a collective voice and commitment to the public interest. ICAI became a founding member of IFAC in 1977, and you have been an essential part of our family ever since. You have been a pillar of Indian society and the Indian economy for more than 75 years. So you are a very important member of this, also the South Asian Federation of Accountants and the Confederation of Asian and Pacific Accountants. And your influence extends around the world through your many chapters abroad. We have also, as IFAC, benefited greatly from the volunteer service of talented ICAI members over the years, far too many to acknowledge right now. I thank you and your members for the essential work you do on behalf of our profession and the public interest, which highlights ICAI's incredibly important role in the global profession. I have been asked to say a few words on navigating global opportunities. I want to describe three themes that are high on our agenda at IFAC. First is sustainability. Second is support for small and medium-sized enterprises. And third is digitalization. Starting with the opportunities with sustainability. In recent years, we at IFAC have been talking to our colleagues across the global accountancy profession and to regulators and other stakeholders outside of the profession about the opportunity and the public interest responsibility that professional accountants have for enabling the sustainability transformation that is happening in companies, in our economies, and in society. IFAC has unique contributions to make to these efforts in our role as both the profession's global voice and as its global convener. I believe this is a critical role. The accountancy profession, as a trusted and influential public interest profession, should have a clear voice in how society can best undergo the sustainability transformation. And within the profession, we need to engage with each other through active, ongoing dialogue and support each other's efforts by exchanging best practices and resources. Financial markets need trustworthy, high-quality, sustainable information so that investors and lenders can make efficient decisions that align with sustainability targets. Other stakeholders also need this information so that they can fully understand the sustainability impacts of a business. We are the profession in the best position to lead on sustainability reporting and assurance. We have the technical skills to integrate financial and non-financial information. Wherever we are in the value chain, we have the skills to transform high-quality standards into high-quality information, and our reputation will build confidence in this information. In the same way, that will bring confidence to traditional financial statements. The sustainability transformation does call for individual professionals to upskill and reskill. Professional accountancy organizations are the best sources of the education and training their members need. So it is essential that they move swiftly, and boldly with their members into the sustainable future. This will take a lot of work, hard work, and there will be bumps in the road on every organization's journey. But it's imperative to keep going. For ICAI members, I highly recommend you look into the impressive array of offerings in sustainability that are available through ICAI. As a profession, we are challenging those of us who work inside of companies or who provide advisory services to companies to view new sustainability disclosures not as a compliance exercise, but instead as empowering change in the way that companies are governed and the way they make decisions. We are also challenging ourselves at IFAC to do everything we can to help build a harmonized global system for reporting sustainability-related information. Crucially, for these disclosures to be useful to anyone, no actor can be outside the reporting system. Our focus at IFAC is on sustainability as it relates to all jurisdictions. We believe the IFRS standards, starting with S1 and S2, are the right foundation for this system. We welcome all well-intentioned initiatives for sustainability reporting standards, while strongly encouraging alignment. Ultimately, we are all on the same sustainability journey, so we should embark on it together. We also believe widespread adoption and implementation of the ISA 5000 standard of the International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, IASB, will be crucial for ensuring that sustainability assurance truly builds confidence in sustainability information. ISA 5000 is a profession-agnostic standard that allows for a broad range of assurance providers while maintaining a high level of quality. But we should be careful not to allow a too tight system to emerge, one where regulated professional accountants are held to higher standards, while others operate without consistent oversight. It is all about investor and consumer protection. If the market for sustainability assurance doesn't earn trust, then it doesn't serve its intended purpose. As with sustainability disclosure, it is vital for all countries to converge on a unified approach to sustainability assurance early on, before regulatory fragmentation can take hold and create unnecessary costs and complexity. Resolving a fragmented system only gets more difficult as time goes on. I encourage the accountancy profession in India to speak strongly in favor of adoption and implementation of ISA 5000 as the path forward on sustainability assurance. For our part, as individual professionals, we need to be ready to meet market expectations in the assurance space and to compete with non-professionals. Now, I'd like to turn to the topic of our profession, supports for SMEs, which is my second theme. Accountants and especially small and medium-sized practices or SMPs continue to be the preferred advisors to SMEs. And SMEs are the backbone of national, regional, and global economies. In India, SMEs employ hundreds of millions of people and contribute nearly 38% of GDP. We can broadly say that the overall economic outlook is very closely linked to the economic outlook for SMEs. The profession's support for these businesses, in turn, is exceptionally important. I want to highlight the close connection between SMEs and sustainability in particular, and our opportunity and responsibility to help SMEs to embrace the sustainability transformation. While we recognize the amazing positive role of SMEs in the economy, the OECD has also found evidence that SMEs account for 60 to 70% on industrial greenhouse gas emissions globally. If SMEs aren't part of the journey, sustainability will stay out of reach. In the same way that SMEs rely on SMPs for help with financial support and decision-making, they will also look to SMPs to provide a range of sustainability-related services. This role for SMPs will also broaden and become even more important as the focus on sustainability shifts from just an environmental or greenhouse gas perspective to include a wider range of ESG factors. Sustainability is going to be challenging for SMEs, but let's remember that SMPs were a lifeline to SMEs in the darkest moment of the pandemic. We need to build on the trusted SME-SMP relationship to help business through this transformation too. Sustainability is about future-proofing businesses. It's about building resilience within them by helping them adapt to rapidly changing market conditions. It's about helping them make decisions that are good for shareholders, the environment, and the community. Having high-quality sustainability information available is central to their ability to do any of this. But to get it, SMEs will need to introduce or improve their processes, systems, and controls for identifying, measuring, and analyzing sustainability information. SMPs have the skills to help design strong systems and advise SMEs on process improvement. So it's vital that they get familiar with these services and step into this space. To ensure our services stay valued, we have to understand what the new areas of concern in sustainability will be. We also have to develop our own understanding and experience before we can effectively help others. We need to identify the right skills and competencies and move quickly to acquire them. As with sustainability disclosures and assurance, professional accountancy organizations will always be the best and closest resource for individual professionals who are trying to upskill and reskill. At IFAC, we are also creating resources and guidance for SMPs through our small and medium-sized practices advisory group. I invite you to visit our website and investigate our small business sustainability checklist, a short diagnostic tool aimed at helping SMEs identify sustainability risks and opportunities, ideally in partnership with a knowledgeable SMP. And last theme, the third one on navigating global opportunities is digitalization. I want to offer you a view from the global level and a few thoughts on how digital technologies, especially artificial intelligence, are changing our profession and how we should adapt. AI is revolutionizing the way accountants and auditors work in ways that enable us to process and analyze vast amounts of data with greater speed, accuracy, and impact. For example, auditors can leverage AI to uncover hidden patterns, correlations, and insights, and these outputs can support predictive analytics, risk evaluation, and fraud detection. Generative AI is also proving to be a valuable tool for drafting audit reports and distilling complex information. But some of the biggest changes are happening outside of formal systems and processes, in emails, spreadsheets, in team meetings, presentations, and in countless one-off tasks that AI is transforming. We have an incredible opportunity. We can use AI to shift from scorekeeping to strategy, to create more time to do higher value work, and to participate in the transformation of our profession rather than resist it. The profession's real challenge is not whether we can use AI, it is whether we will redefine our own work before others redefine it for us. I must add that we should always consider our professional responsibilities to meet the new and still emerging risks of AI, including cybersecurity, threats to privacy, lack of transparency, and bias within AI models. I fully recognize that some of our profession feel anxious about how AI will impact or may impact our relevance. I want to emphasize that overall, AI is an opportunity to add more value and increase our relevance. But we should consider carefully whether we are prepared to seize this opportunity. The core skills of a professional accountant are strong, and we do not need to reinvent ourselves, but we must build on those skills. Individually, we will need to increase our digital literacy and get practical experience with AI. As with sustainability, professional accountancy organizations need to support their individual members to upskill and reskill for AI and a range of other digital competencies. And I encourage everyone to stay engaged with what ICAI is doing. ICAI offers so many webinars, certificate courses, and other offerings related to AI, and these are a fantastic resource. Professional accountancy organizations also need to engage with educational institutions to make sure the curriculum for accounting students is keeping pace with a technological change. IFAC's International Panel on Accountancy Education oversees the international education standards, the global baseline for accountancy education, and ensures they remain relevant in a rapidly evolving world. Right now, the panel is exploring the AI competencies that future accountants will need and how AI is reshaping the learning process. On education, ICAI's continuing engagement with stakeholders on behalf of its members is vital to a successful digital transformation of the profession in India. Thank you for always advocating for your members and for future members still and for the future members still in school through our strong relationships with academia. As a conclusion, within each of the three themes I have discussed today, sustainability, support for SMEs, and digitalization, our profession has unique historic opportunities and an obligation to lead the way in collaboration with our stakeholders. I want to mention one more thing. Our profession's fundamental purpose of serving the public interest. The quality that enables us to do so, which sets us apart as a profession, is ethics. Our ethics define us and have earned us our trusted reputation. And the central position we occupy in economies, financial markets, organizations, at all times, we need to keep earning our trusted reputation and never, never, never take it for granted. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, it is such a pleasure to have shared these items with you today, and I wish you a very rich discussion and a great global week with ICAI Global Week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. John Bouquet, the IFEC president, for sharing your words of wisdom, especially focused on sustainability, support for the SMPs, and digitization. I think that's truly this theme is very important for navigating the global opportunities, to have the trust in chartered accountants, and of course, to maintain the highest level of quality. Thank you so much for joining. It was truly an honor and privilege on behalf of ICI to have you here today. And we'll be happy to see you and waiting to see you in the month of January for the WOFA 30th January to 1st of February 2026. Thank you so much, John Bouquet, sir, for joining. And before I end, I would now request the Deputy Convener of the Directorate for a formal vote of thanks for this inaugural session of the Global Week. Over to you, CA Dr. Sanjeev Singhal-ji.
Thank you, everybody. Respected President of ICI, CA Charanjot Singh Nandaji, the guest of honor, Mr. John Bouquet, the Honorable Joint Secretary from Ministry of Commerce, Shri Darpan Jain, our esteemed Vice President, CA Prasanna Kumar Dean, distinguished speakers, moderators, my colleagues in the Council, and all the learned participants. As we conclude the inaugural session of Day 1 of ICI Global Week on the theme Navigating Global Opportunities, it's my proud privilege on behalf of the Directorate of International Trade Services and WTO to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks. Today's deliberation on exploring Asian countries and beyond will open a new vistas of thought, from the insightful presidential and special addresses to the guest of honor's inspiring vision, talking about sustainability, SMEs, and the AI, to Shri Darpan Jainji's deliberation on the initiatives of the Ministry of Commerce and his wholehearted support for the ICI initiatives, and the thought-provoking sessions which will be there on opportunities in developed and emerging Asias and beyond during this week. We will indeed navigate through a wealth of knowledge. I sincerely thank our President, C. Charanjot Singh Nandaji, for his visionary guidance, for our guest of honor, Mr. John Bouquet, for gracing this occasion from Beirut with his presence and insights. My gratitude also goes to our Vice President, C. Prasanna Kumar Dean. A special thanks to all the eminent speakers who will be speaking during the week. Friends, it's also a matter of great pride that ICI has been working closely with IFAC, and that's been acknowledged by none other than the IFAC president himself. We're also working with many other professional accounting organizations worldwide. In fact, today I'm in London to participate in the World Standard Setter Conference and the IFAS meeting from tomorrow. All these initiatives not only strengthen India's footprint in the global profession, but also contribute meaningfully to the world discourse. In particular, ICI has been taking pioneering strides in the field of sustainability, John, and we have been the world leader in sustainability reporting maturity model, and we are the first one to mandate sustainability assurance for the top 1,000 listed entities. We are the first one in the world to come out with a bouquet of 16 standards on the social audit. So all this put as a global leader in this critical area. And we are working extensively on this ESA 5000 standard and will soon be coming out with the exposure draft. Our work in developing sustainability reporting standards and shaping ESG framework was recognized by none other than UNTAD ISR in 2023 by awarding us the Best Board in the World Award. This program could not have been possible without the continued support of my convener, C.A. Charger, whose leadership has been invaluable, and the dedicated team at the Directorate led by Monica Jain. To all the participants who joined us from across geographies, your engagement and enthusiasm are what make ICI's global initiative meaningful. And let me assure you, as the week unfolds, we shall cover all jurisdictions across continents, ensuring a truly global perspective for every participant. As it said, the journey becomes more beautiful than the destination itself when companions walk together with enthusiasm and promise. With this spirit, I once again thank everyone and look forward for your continued participation in the coming days of ICI Global Week. Let us carry this momentum forward as we prepare for the grand stage of the World Forum of Accountant 2.0 in January 26, where ICI will showcase not only its global leadership, but also its vision for a sustainable future. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai ICI.
Thank you very much, CA Dr. Sajeev Singhal, the Deputy Convener of the Directorate. Now, we come to an end of the inaugural session. Thank you, all of you, for joining, because now very important is the first technical session, which is addressed by CA Anuradha Shroff, the Chairperson, ICI Singapore Chapter, and CA Sanjay Gattani, Vice Chairperson, ICI Singapore Chapter, on exploring new frontiers, seizing opportunities in developed Asia. So I would request now CA Rashi Bhatia, the eminent speaker, to kindly take over the session. Thank you, Darpan Jainji, for joining. Thank you, John Bouquet, sir, for joining, Sanjeev Bhai joining, and Honorable President and Vice President for being here, Jay Batraji for being here for this inaugural session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John Bouquet.
Thank you so much.
Over to you, Rashi.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to ICI Global Week on Navigating Global Opportunities. I am CA Rashi Bhatia, and I'm honored to moderate today's engaging session on navigating global opportunities organized by Development of International Trade Service and WTO Directorate. With over 15 years of experience in global accounting, specializing in UK, US, and Canada, I have had the privilege of working across diverse industries, handling international clients, and seeing how globalization continues to reshape our profession. Today's discussions hold special meaning for me as they mirror the journey of countless professionals striving to build the impact beyond borders. At the outset, let me extend heartfelt thanks to CA Abheji for the opening remarks, CA Prasanna Kumarji for the special address, CA Charanjot Singh Nandaji for the presidential address, Mr. Darpan Jainji for the valuable insights on FTAs, and Mr. Jean Bouquet for gracing us as the guest of honor and shedding light on sustainability, support for SMEs, and digitalization. CA Dr. Sanjeev Kumarji for vote of thanks. Our theme for today, Exploring Asian Countries and Beyond, captures both the challenges and opportunities before us. Asia is no longer just a participant in the global trade. It is the epicenter of growth, technology, and innovation. For chartered accountants, this is the time to sharpen our skills, embrace cross-border opportunities, and lead in the areas of governance, compliance, and business strategy. Let us together explore how we can be at the forefront of this transformation. Let's begin with our first session, Exploring New Frontiers, Seizing Opportunities in Developed Asia. Developed Asia represents maturity, stability, and strong financial ecosystems. For Indian chartered accountants, it offers a chance to integrate with advanced economies, contribute to governance, and create value through expertise in global reporting and compliances. Our agenda today is going to be very interactive. We shall be taking up the questions from the members after half an hour of our session with CA Anuradha Shroff and CA Sanjay Jatanaji. So meanwhile, you guys can keep dropping the queries in the chat box. Let me now welcome CA Anuradha Shroff, Chairperson of ICI Singapore Chapter, and CA Sanjay Ghatani ji, Chairperson of ICI Singapore Chapter, to share their insights. Just to share some brief on the backgrounds, CA Anuradha Shroff is a seasoned chartered accountant with nearly 3 decades of global experience. Anuradha ji has worked across financial strategy, FP&A, US gaps, revenue recognition, and taxation. Her journey includes leading shared services, steering IPO readiness, and partnering with C-suite leaders to align growth with the business performances. She is deeply rooted in the multicultural exposure and purpose-driven leadership. Since moving to Singapore, she has embraced service above self-earning credentials in psychotherapy, honing her communication through Toastmasters, and dedicating herself to community upliftment. As past president of Indian Women Association, she led several initiatives during COVID, supporting families, seniors, and civic engagement while representing IWA at national platforms. Today, as chairperson of ICI Singapore, she champions women in leadership and drives the mission to engage, enable, empower fellow professionals. We are privileged to have you, ma'am, with us today. Along with, let me introduce CA Sanjay Jatani ji, Vice Chairperson of ICI Singapore chapter. He is a budding entrepreneur, a carbon enthusiast, currently into carbon origination, carbon balancing, and developing carbon projects across Southeast Asia. Founder of Carbon Predecessors Pte Limited, based in Singapore. He is also into energy trading and commodity mining industry in Indonesia, having business presence across China, India, Vietnam, and Southeast Asian countries. A career spanning 30 years with a corporate and entrepreneurial blend. A Tata Group veteran of 20 years and was instrumental in setting up the joint venture with NYK in Singapore. Sanjay ji has also led investment Tata Group delegations to Bangladesh and Vietnam for setting up ventures in respective countries. Chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretary with varied experience in corporate finance, strategy, business negotiations, and financial reporting in energy and commodities, steels and logistics. A business excellence practitioner during his Tata Group days, an avid traveler, and a health enthusiast. A firm believer in health first, all after that. I request CA Anuradha ji and CA Sanjay Ghatani ji to share their presentation and thoughts and further enrich with their discussions. Over to you, ma'am and sir.
Thank you so much, Rashi. Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you. And thank you to all the dignitaries, presidents, vice presidents, Abhay Chajarji, Sanjeev Singhal and John Bouquet for their inaugurals. It was very motivating to hear them. I'm looking forward to an exciting journey ahead. Sanjay, are you sharing the presentation?
Yes. Presentation is visible to everybody?
Yes, Sanjay. Yes, Sanjay.
Thank you.
A very good afternoon to all the listeners. Sanjay and I here are very excited to share the journey and opportunity for chartered accountants in Singapore. It is beyond chartered accountants. Some Indian professionals also can benefit out of this. We are talking mostly about Singapore in our journey today in the developed markets. Asia has many developed markets, but yes, our immediate exposure is to Singapore. And it will be reflective of some of the things that will be applicable mostly in other places also. So let's bring it on. In our agenda today, we will be covering career opportunities for Indians in Singapore. What are the employment rules and regulations in Singapore? And how do they blend in with the living conditions and cultural integration and community support within the region? So we start by sharing some of the industries, in which Indian chartered accountants can benefit out in this area. Singapore, as you know, is more of a service-driven industry. So definitely finance and fintech takes a very important part. You have a lot of, banking and non-banking firms and here in Singapore. So that is a very good, people who are in the finance foray can definitely benefit a lot out of, exploring opportunities in the finance and fintech section. Sanjay, I think that, yeah. Technology is the fastest, Sanjay, previous slide. Technology is the fastest, moving opportunity. And today we have seen that in India, in Singapore, there is a lot of opportunities for tech space. A lot of banks and other financial institutions and other organizations also have, setups here in Singapore. AI, fastest moving, cybersecurity, a lot of passport security and other organizations are here. Data analytics, the colleges here do have very interesting opportunities around that, as well as businesses are doing analytics everywhere. And blockchain is definitely a game changer. So digital innovators and software developers definitely have a lot of scope to explore Singapore. Like any other, Singapore is not far behind from the health tech world and biotech world. So definitely there's a lot of research happening here on the healthcare industry and biotech. And people do benefit if they are in this space. They do have an expansion opportunity to come in into Singapore. There is definitely patient care services also here. So there are MRAs with a few colleges in India for nursing as well here. Education sectors, the Singapore colleges are gaining a lot of traction to become the world leaders in the top ranking for colleges across the world. And therefore, a lot of Indians are also present in as teachers and as professors, even deans in Singapore colleges. And there's a lot of scope to come here as a student as well as a teacher and a professor. Singapore has a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities, and one gentleman sitting here, Sanjay, and I've also started dabbling in a bit of entrepreneurship over the last few years. So there are a lot of corporate services firms here. There are a lot of other consulting firms here. There are a lot of trainings and enough and more startups across industries that I spoke of earlier. So if somebody is looking at being an entrepreneur, this is a good place to explore. I will be talking more about how you can explore these when we go down the chain, the presentation. But there is a very good support system for, ecosystem for innovation and growth. And the government has got a lot of subsidies and, benefits that are available to people who are ready to invest in Singapore. Engineering, we see a demand across engineers across multiple disciplines. There's a lot of development happening. There's an infrastructure build up. Manufacturing is not that significant in Singapore, but it is definitely gaining a lot more traction. And technology innovation is always there. Shipping and maritime is the oldest industry in Singapore. So it is a global hub for maritime. And there are a lot of shipping roles here within Singapore, from all that's been listed on the screen on that you read in operations, logistics, port management, and maritime. And one thing that is definitely here is, you can practice a lot of maritime law. There's arbitration here, trade, and naval engineering services. So while we have bucketed them into separate, buckets, but each, bucket gets into cross polarization, and people can with experience can come across multiple industries to see how they can partake into their own growth along with, developing Singapore and making it grow better. Over to you, Sanjay, for the next slide.
Thanks, Anu. Greetings to all the members present over here on this webinar, to Nanda sir, to Prasanna sir, John Buko, and all the dignitaries present. Now, once Anu has covered what are the areas where people can excel in Singapore, Singapore offers a variety of opportunities for banking professionals, for shipping professionals, and the IT professionals. Now, having said that, the emerging trends, means I guess when Nanda sir was here, he mentioned about the AI standards being formulated, ESG standards being formulated in India. Now, when we talk about Singapore, it offers quite a lot of remote roles for Indian professionals who can base themselves in Asia and they can serve the global firms. So it becomes a very good base for industry professionals to be based over here. And then not only that, but green and renewable energy, which was like during the inaugural session, we spoke about the sustainability, we spoke about the AI. All these is being promoted not only by the country as such, but by the industry over here. They invest heavily in the solar, hydrogen, and carbon neutral technologies. They talk about quite a lot of industries and the banks talking about the sustainable financing. Carbon credits, as I said, even I am a quite enthusiast into carbon, looking into developing certain carbon projects right now as we speak. So, carbon origination, sequestration, and carbon trading means all the banks and all the big industry houses are having big carbon trading desks now in Singapore. Even the biggest banks like DBS, OCBC, or UOB, they are having big carbon desks which promote the uh, carbon units being traded into the world. What is also very important to note is the carbon capture and storage units, CCS as they call it in carbon markets, is being promoted by the Singapore government, and not only by the Singapore government is joining hands with the countries in and around them like Indonesia, in like Malaysia, to have big carbon storage, capture and storage units across the region. So this becomes a very big opportunity for the industry professionals to be there. And as it's being told, it will eventually in next 5 years time, this will hold a huge opportunity for the finance professionals to get into this. Then Anu did speak about startups and entrepreneurship, a major hub about startups. Even the Singapore chapter, as a Singapore chapter, we are getting into the startup promotion. Means we have an initiative which we call it the next leap, where quite a lot of Indian startups and Singapore startups they are participating, and we have an event on 20th of November with respect to demo day, where almost 20 startups would be presenting to the investors and the founders with respect to the knowledge about startups and entrepreneurships. Then, with in India's stronger ties in the ASEAN, Indians do get preference in certain trade and technology collaborations. Now, since we now touched upon the industries and the emerging industries, we briefly touch upon the roles and skill sets which are in demand, which partly was definitely covered by Anu in her slides as well. That software developers, financial analysts, specifically when you talk about it during in the banking as well as in the shipping, Indians are the highest in demand. And we find that wherever we talk about like the just retired CEO of the DBS Bank, he was an Indian origin CEO. So, software developers, financial analysts, healthcare specialists, engineers, sought after professionals in Singapore. And then the data analytics, cybersecurity, project management, specifically with all this, which as Nanda sir also mentioned, these are the curriculums which are becoming more and more aggressive in Indian CA curriculum. These are really in demand in Singapore. We also talk about what Singapore offers. They offers like networking, job search, strategies. All these are offered. And these are some of the stuff which I wouldn't cover in detail over here, but these are the stuff which in Singapore, it is offered quite significantly. Over to you, Anu.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay. So here I will talk about, when a person is wishing to come into Singapore, what are the opportunities that they have, and what are the rules of engagement and employment that they have to follow in Singapore authorities. So we will cover what are the visa statuses. Everything you can find on the Singapore website, so we are not covering all the criteria. But anybody who comes here to Singapore seeking employment can come under three categories. The first one being the employment pass. That is all, the high-skilled professionals who come under that. And the salary levels are higher in this category. So you have to meet the threshold to be you should have the company sponsor you for an employment pass, meeting all the criteria that are needed. And then along with that, you should have the salary levels needed to qualify for an employment pass. If the salary level is a little lower, and this is for middle level management, you can get an S pass. S pass is very specific to qualification, and salary levels are slightly lower than that of the employment pass. Coming to the last one is work permit, which is for semi-skilled or unskilled. I don't think so the forum here is eligible for that, but we did want to mention that for reference. Let's move to the next slide. So here, every employee has the right. So these are actually all the, before you sign up for anything as an employment in Singapore, under any of the three categories that we mentioned, you need to understand your employee rights. There is always a contract which is done for a year to whatever, because that will depend on the number of years for which your employment pass, S pass, or work pass is issued. Generally, the highest being 2 years. And then employers also have to fulfill their obligations, such as treating the employees fairly and honoring the contract terms with the employees. So, what is very important for Indian, nationals, expatriates who are looking at exploring Singapore as an opportunity? The taxes in Singapore are generally lower. So, but people have to be very cognizant of understanding where they are under the DTAA, which is there, the double taxation agreement between India and Singapore. They need to understand their tax responsibilities, be responsible toward their tax compliances, and ensure that they follow with India and Singapore regulations and avoid penalties. Work pass, as I told you, all the passes are generally 2 years bound, maximum 2 years bound. So they have to be, renewed, because the government is very strict and vigilant about it. It is not that if you don't renew a pass, you can continue to live in Singapore. There are going to be, issues with the government, and you will run into a lot more complications for renewal. Sanjay, you again jumped.
Sorry, my mistake. Somehow the screen went off.
You back to the starting one, yeah.
Correct. This one, okay?
I think just go before that. Let me see what is there. Yeah, I think that's fine. This one was the one. So, we are again talking here of work passes. Here we are trying to talk about how people can hold a pass to come to be in resident in Singapore. Of course, we talked about an employment pass, explaining that a bit more in detail, because as professionals, most of the chartered accountants come into Singapore to work under this category. These are passes for employment passes for professionals, managers, executive specialists, and there is definitely a need for a minimum salary for this. The Singapore government has introduced a new framework called the Compass, and under that, to be eligible to have an employment pass, each individual has to qualify with a framework of 40 points minimum. Now, it is getting even a little challenging for people who came to Singapore a few years before to fulfill this Compass criteria. So, before anybody is seeking employment in Singapore, we have to be very sure. Any new employment, I'm sure the company will also look into it. but that's where we stand. As I mentioned, that the validity for any employment pass will be 1 to 2 years, and renewal is possible. In this category, the dependents are allowed, that is the immediate family and the parents of the person who is on employment pass are eligible to come into Singapore to live as dependents of the employed person. Once a person is already, having an employment pass, they can convert their employment pass into personalized employment pass. Now, what it does is it gives, it is the same salary level, uh, but for EP holders, but it is not tied to the employer. So basically, in this situation, what happens is if a person has to leave the employment for any purpose, they are still eligible to fulfill the PEP duration that is left in their application and whatever criteria they have filled. So this gives people an option to change jobs without being tied to the employer all the time, or even if they are unemployed for some months, they can consider this as an option. But this is only a one-time eligibility that a person has. So during your entire stay in Singapore, if you're on employment pass, you can take a PEP only once. And if the 5 years of that expire without you having used it, you are not eligible to renew it. There is a third category called the entree pass. Now, this is for entrepreneurs and founders with innovative or venture-backed businesses, which I spoke about a bit earlier. So here, you can look at getting this entree pass, but you will have to talk to the Economic Development Board, or you will have to talk to, the authorities in Singapore to see what is the novel idea and novel business that you bring to Singapore along with capital, which will help them explore and understand, how you are eligible for entree pass. It is not a standardized thing, but if any interesting ideas which is an absolute growth or change maker for India and Singapore, for the entrepreneur as well as for Singapore, this pass is definitely possible. In the last few years, because the government has made employment pass very difficult, they have started a thing called the Tech Pass and the One Pass, which is Overseas Network and Expertise Pass. Now, this is also very interesting because it gives high level tech leaders or people who are subject matter experts or unique in their field and have global experiences and also a higher level of salaries, which is benchmarked. They have more, they are eligible to get the one pass, which helps them to, again, not be tied to a particular employer, but stay in Singapore and have a larger lease of life in case they want to let go of employment and look for other opportunities. So everybody who's interested may want to look all these up and understand better if they're keen to understand, look at, relocating into Singapore. Next slide. Thank you, Sanjay. So the one of the most important thing that has been talked about in the last few years has been the ISCA and ICAI MOU that has been signed. So Sanjay and I have put this up here to explain to everybody that what does this MOU bring to us. So anybody who's looking to become an associate member of ISCA must be residing in Singapore with at least 6 months of local domicile requirement. Means you should have a local visa eligibility to live as a resident in Singapore. You cannot come on a tourist visa and try and get this application done. So even for your basic application to be done, you have to be a resident for 6 or more months with a visa that will allow you to continue to stay here. You need at least 2 character references, one from ICA Singapore and one from your employer to say that you have been in the company for at least 6 months. And then all the successful applicants are required to complete the ISCA professional ethics course. And then, they have to give the proof of qualification of ICI membership and education and how they, what is the training route and what they have done. And there has to be a letter of good standing that they have to issue from an ICI member. So I wanted to put this out here for all to be very clear that local residency is an important part to be a ISCA associate member, along with all the other compliances. Over to you, Sanjay.
Now that we have touched upon what are the flourishing sectors in Singapore, what are the emerging industries in Singapore, what are the emerging trends in Singapore, and we spoke about the employment rules. We briefly touch upon the living conditions in Singapore. I guess it does not need too much of a mention, where people talk about Singapore as the best living country in this world, where the living in Singapore, though expensive, is quite comfortable. So we briefly touch upon with respect to what are we talking in Singapore about the housing options. There are various types of housing options available, means the government subsidized housing, which they call housing development board flats, which is quite comfortable for people staying in Singapore or people renting it out. There is called HDB flats. Then there are private condominium options, which is a notch above the government subsidized housing, having their private amenities. And then there are landed properties, which definitely are better than the above two. So these are the various housing options available as compared to the range of rents that needs to be paid for each one of them. So the Indian professionals generally look at either the private condominium options or the government subsidized housing options in Singapore. Then we come to a little bit to touch upon with respect to the healthcare. One of the best healthcare in the world, which is available to all the individuals in Singapore, though definitely at a cost. So Singapore's healthcare system, one of the most reliable healthcare system. And then we come to the education. Similarly, with respect to the education, as compared to the highest standards Singapore maintains with respect to everything. Singapore has a beautiful government-enabled healthcare system where we called about NUH. That this is the one of the best healthcare system, and various private sector healthcare healthcare institutions as well. And over here, when we are talking about the healthcare as well as the education, Singapore also gives the best safety standards in the world as well. So the entire community in Singapore, they feel very safe and secure throughout their stay in Singapore. I mentioned about the safety standards. Singapore has a very efficient public transport. Means the public transport sometimes are better than the cars owned by the people over here. So that very efficient public transport in terms of buses and the trains available over here. Crime rates almost negligible, hardly any crimes in Singapore, and the environment in Singapore very comfortable, which I guess people coming from India specifically they appreciate the clean urban environment in Singapore. Anu, over to you.
Thank you. So, we have covered a bit about quite a lot of things, and now want to touch upon what is the cultural integration and community support that one gets if you're looking at relocating into Singapore. While we seek opportunities abroad, it is very important that we know how we are going to blend ourselves and make it home within that respective country. So the beauty of a Singapore lifestyle and culture is that it is, it respects every religion. And Tamil happens to be one of the local languages of Singapore. Singapore has four national languages, and Tamil is one of them. And the most important thing is that we celebrate each and every religion, and we have only six national holidays in Singapore, which is reflected by all the four communities that live here. So you have the Chinese community, you have a holiday for the Buddhist community, you have a holiday for the Malay community, and you have a holiday for the Indian community or the Hindu community. So it is embracing everybody. And they have a lot of practices of inter-religion conferences and all that they have, where all the religions, are celebrated. And so they definitely celebrate diversity. For example, to share that the Prime Minister of Singapore is always the head of the Hindu Endowment Board. Now, even if the Prime Minister is Indian nationality, of Chinese nationality, or Malay nationality, does not matter. He leads the Hindu Endowment Board. And it is very important that Singaporean social behaviors are learnt by everyone, whoever is coming to live in Singapore, to build strong relationships. As far as the Indian diaspora and support networks are concerned, there are a lot of local communities here. So literally every regional fraction of India has a support team here. So we have, nationalities from down south, up north, every east and west. As a matter of fact, right now, as it's Durga Puja, we have 6 to 7 Durga Pujas being celebrated within Singapore itself. So Indian community is very, very strong. And our chapter, the ICI Singapore chapter, the SINDA, which is the Singapore Indian Development Authority, they do a lot of work. And, we have members from across all nationalities from within India. And there is a lot of support because they are all extended families. Right now in Singapore, we are celebrating Navratri, we are celebrating Garba, we are doing Durga Puja. So definitely all the Indian traditions are preserved, and we all have a unity. And together with that, we have the ICI Singapore chapter, we have the TAI, we have the IIT alumni, we have all business schools having alumni, we have the ICI, we have the cost accountants having their alum. So lot of, support system is there for even the professional, networks are there for career development and sharing, support for the professionals who are in Singapore. The best part about Singapore is that there's a big thing about work-life balance promotion. So, and people are here largely into taking care of health first, and there's a lot of recreational, activities that one can plan. So even during COVID, the best part that was here is the parks were quite largely used because the national parks in Singapore, the green space in Singapore is a beauty to watch. Anybody who ever visits Singapore from India will always say, oh my God, it is so beautiful to see such green spaces. Definitely, you don't see that in CBD area, but beyond. So overall, to cover this whole, slide in itself, there's a good balance of work-life balance, lot of recreational activity. Whatever person wishes to have is there, and you have time to, practice whatever attracts you. And of course, the parks and dining and social life is also, all kinds of cuisine. Because Singapore is a melting pot of all the international communities coming and staying here. So definitely it's a foodie's paradise, and as well as, people do enjoy social life. And you have an opportunity to work and socially interact with all communities. So I guess this helps us, with this, we have tried to share the career opportunities, the cultural integration, and the community support. And with that, Sanjay and I think we submit our presentation, and over to you, Rashi. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for patiently hearing us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Anuradha ji and Sanjay ji, for your insights on how to set up uh, and for sharing the practical insights on the cultural adaptability. It's indeed a key differentiator when the Indian professionals set up into the global roles, especially in developed Asian markets. I think that's really set the tone for how our members can prepare themselves, not just technically, but yes, culturally also. Building on that, let me ask you about another important area. With Singapore being the global financial hub, do you see increasing opportunities for outsourcing accounting and compliance work to India? And how can Indian CAs tap into these remote opportunities on the remote basis?
So very honestly, there is definitely outsourcing opportunities are there, but a lot of Indian players are interested in this opportunity. So from where I sit, I can get like literally in once in every 2 weeks, somebody or the other is definitely keen to, set up that opportunity. The I think the key lies in the fact is how much time one is ready to invest in networking, in getting to know, find out these opportunities, because Singapore is a small island. It's an island city, country, state country. So while it has a lot of financial hubs and a lot of, sectors that is being catered to, finding opportunities is definitely, a lot of networking, a lot of spending a lot of time here to figure out how you can support the partner. So definitely a little more is needed on that, but opportunities are there. It's definitely possible.
Thank you so
Just
much,
to
Anuradha
add,
ji. Yes.
just to add a little bit over here as well, that not only Indians sitting out of India become a part of it, because if you look at our chapter with 500 odd members over here, a significant amount of members are practicing CAs over here. When I say practicing CAs, of course, they cannot sign on the accounts over here, but they are engaged into quite a lot of activities into Singapore or Singapore-based companies. And not only in Singapore-based entities, even in the entire Southeast Asia, means countries like Malaysia or Indonesia, people have opportunities coming up because Indian chartered accountants, specifically with their global knowledge about accounting, they become very important to the whole ecosystem, not only in Singapore, but in the entire Southeast Asia.
Okay. Coming on the same question, like continuing the same one, like Sanjay ji, when you mentioned like the Indian CAs cannot practice in such, like they cannot sign, certify the documents. So what takes for an Indian CA to actually upgrade himself or herself to actually do the certification? So are there some exemptions or like how a person, let's say if I as a CA needs to enroll there, I want to certify. So guide me like as an individual how I can proceed.
Okay, I will take that up, Sanjay. You fine with it?
Perfect.
Yeah. So, see, as I explained to you, that is why it was very important that I put up the slide for ISCA and ICI Singapore chapter. There was the collaboration, not chapter, ICI and ISCA chapter MOU that we have. So right now we don't have the MRA in place between ISCA and ICAI. So both the countries do not recognize the degrees mutually. So for any person to become a practicing chartered accountant in Singapore, you will have to complete the entire ISCA degree or do any of the other degrees which are a direct access to ISCA.
So how long does that take, Anuradha ji?
It
For the
depends.
audience?
I mean, so ISCA accounting qualification is a lot easier than our ICI degree, but then there is a catch there. If you've studied an ISCA, if you become a qualified accountant as per the ISCA degree, still you cannot sign. So the way we do it in India is we do our articleship along with our education. So the day we become a qualified chartered accountant, we are eligible to, become a public accountant and sign balance sheets as well. But that is not the case with international degree of ISCA or the local degree at ISCA also. After you've become an accountant, you have to do 2,500 practical hours as a manager in one of the audit firms. And after you've completed those practical hours and gotten first you complete the ISCA degree, then 2,500 hours. This rule is applicable to any local Singaporean as well. So that is the route that one has to take. Now, for an Indian chartered accountant to come and do those 2,500 hours in Singapore is not going to be an easy proposition. So we wait very patiently because all the employment rules that we discussed and all will be applicable. So, in all practicality, what we are trying to say here is aspiring to become a local public accountant at this stage till the MRA is in place is not an easy task. We have so many other avenues to work in Singapore that we did mention.
Thank you so much for the same. Coming to our next question from the audience, like when we say networking is important there, so which networking events do you suggest the Indian CAs to actually be part of so that they can actually start having the opportunities for the remote as well as maybe the employment side?
See, so coming to networking opportunities, honestly, the chapter has at least up to 2 events every month. So chapter events are definitely very important. But at the same time, there are other associations as well. I mentioned the Thai Association, if you're alumni of any of the IIMs, IITs, or any other things. So there are many networking opportunities. You have BNI here as well. So there are many networking opportunities that are available that suit the kind of requirement with which you want to go. But yes, you can start with the CA chapter, but it's mostly in person because we don't have, I think post-COVID, slowly everybody has moved to in person. So, that is where the catch comes.
Thank
So
you
not
again
only,
on
not
answering it so well.
only, not only with the associations over here, most of the corporates or the industry segments, they have their annual or 6 monthly or quarterly conferences held in Singapore. Singapore being a global hub, all the conferences, even in now in November, there is a FinTech week coming up. Then now, as we speak, in the next week, there is a F1 in Singapore. Around the F1, quite a lot of people club it with all the conferences. Even the Maritime Week is happening next week. So all these conferences do offer a plethora of activities to all the professionals to come into Singapore and do the networking and be a part of those networks.
That's amazing to know. Thank you so much. So I would request the audience to keep dropping in the messages so that we can take the maximum out of this session. So coming to the next question from the audience, what effective steps a CA can take up for the international branding of his firm in Singapore?
For a CA firm to have an international branding, first and foremost, you need to have a local presence. So they will definitely need to follow the local laws to register their company here and have their local presence because to do international branding for an Indian brand in Singapore is not possible at all. So the minimum that you will need to start is to have that, and then go ahead with different organizations to figure out how you can raise your brand. And as Sanjay just mentioned, so many of these conferences give a good opportunity for members to, if they have a local presence, to be present at those events and sponsor those events or sort of find opportunities to showcase their brand here.
So let's say, can an Indian CA open up a company there in Singapore while
Not
he's practicing here?
No, so that's what I'm saying. It's you have to follow the law of the land. So the law of the land is not that easy. So there are a lot of compliances that a person who wants to open an office in Singapore has to follow. For example, you need local directors, you need to understand, what is so you need to do the works. It's not that easy. And for the first thing is that even if you open a company in Singapore, the person who's opening the company can automatically not get a visa to stay in Singapore. So there is a process. It's not as easy to just walk in and do that. It is highly possible, but it'll all depend on what is your project plan. What do you offer to the authorities when you are trying to open a company, and how does your project plan read like? Like, what is your target audience? What's your business? What's the scope? What do you bring to the Singapore as such?
An important point that Anu mentioned just now was what is the project scope the Indian CA is talking about. So when you talk about a project scope with respect to this and what is the scale the Indian CA is looking at. Now, if he is looking at a scale which is big enough, which is global enough, then the Indian CA can definitely hire certain practicing accountants over here. So once we get into an association or affiliation with a practicing accountant, definitely they can spread their wings over here. But then, since it is more, I would say, driven more by the rules of the laws of the land, it has to be, unfortunately, that has to be the case with respect to practicing CAs. When we talk about but it because it is not only applicable to Singapore, it is applicable to any global country or city where you go. So it is simply the same. But opportunities galore once the affiliation is there. And as we spoke about in the slide of emerging trends, it's not only with respect to the practicing CA or certification of books of accounts. There are various areas of financing, the carbon practicing that we talk about, all these ESG guidelines, these things. There are enough and many activities which Indian CA can engage into.
I hope Anuradha ji and Sanjay ji has replied very well to the questions which audience is putting up. So next we have our next question from the audience. They are asking, what are the top 2 to 3 skill sets you believe CAs must develop today to remain globally competitive in regions like Singapore?
Anu, we can have four, two for you and two for myself.
Yes, we can do that. See, very honestly, I would say today, you have to stay on top of what the industries demand. So, even if you look at our CA curriculum right now, we are totally driven by sustainability. We are totally driven by AI. So we are talking of all these, new age, business that is being developed world over. So the CAs have to stay relevant. Definitely, filing of tax returns and completing of audit is still going to be always there. So that is one thing. But to come and grow in areas like Singapore, I would say staying on top of things like AI, data analytics, sustainability are very, very important things, because they are new age, skill sets that you bring to the table. Sanjay, over to you.
Anu spoke about the technical skills. I speak with respect to some of the softer skills which we may have to be globally relevant. Means technically, as I keep telling to all my global friends, is that it's very difficult to beat Indians on technical front. Very difficult, almost impossible with their skill sets, their rigorousness. It's very difficult to beat Indians. What I think one of the major things where as we keep growing on a global stage is to keep becoming two skill sets which I keep talking about is one is the humility and second is the punctuality. I guess the world really believes in punctuality. So these are the two soft skills which Indians can improve themselves upon to become globally relevant.
Well said, Sanjay.
Well said, well said. Even I have worked for the UK market and I can see tremendous mindset difference in regards to the punctuality, the way Indians treat punctuality versus how the people outside are actually valuing the time for others. So yes, we as Indians, we need to work onto this so that we are globally fit to actually take up the opportunities.
Yes, we should start making the IST as Indian Standard Time rather than Indian Stretchable Time.
Very well said. Very well said. I do acknowledge and agree with same. Okay, Anuradha ji, you touched the pace for like AI coming into the picture. So again, a question for both of you, like how you feel AI is having the role, how technology and AI is shaping the future opportunities in developed Asia, and how we as CAs can work and learn that skill so that we are on top of. Like technically, we are too strong. Sanjay ji already mentioned, and yes, we do acknowledge the same. But how we can upgrade ourselves so that we can fit into the market, the global trends in terms of AI.
See, to be very honest, I will tell you one simple thing is that I'll give you an example. I was talking to a friend a couple of days ago, and he was saying that I keep on having to, I use the new AI tools to keep on revising the FP&A for my organization in various formats. So, using his CA skills, he is trying to shape the future. So, in history, we've always found that a sales executive goes out, he finds out that they do BD, they do sales, they do pre-marketing, pre-sales, whatever. But today, a finance professionals using the power of AI can figure out what is a potential market or what are the potential uh, players with whom the salespeople can go and tap, how they can help grow the market or the business of the company. So today we are not the old age of finance people anymore. We are actually partaking in the growth of business and being business leaders. So we have to stop thinking in whatever way we want to learn. We have to stop thinking like the traditional chartered accountants, and we actually, the way our curriculum is also changing, all the things have to be business driven. We have to figure out, if suppose whichever company or trends that you want to come to Singapore and work in, you have to be prepared to understand what is the change that you can do for that company, or what is the new thing that you can bring for that company. So when you are talking to any individual, you have to be a solution provider and not somebody who understands their problem and then tries to find out the solution. The largest impact one can make is if you approaching everything and how you can support that organization find its own value faster, because it's an ever-changing world. I know it's a bit of a global yarn that somebody may say, but trust me, that's the way that the world's changing. Every 2 years, technology is changing. So more than learning, being up to speed with the new technology is always important. But the most important thing, according to me, is the shift in our thought process and our capability to change very fast and be very agile and adaptable.
Thank you so much, Anuradha ji, for summing it up well. So I think that's it for the questions on your session. So that was indeed insightful. Thank you for shedding light on those opportunities. It really gives our members a roadmap to think globally. On behalf of ICI, I extend heartfelt gratitude to CA Anuradha Shroff and CA Sanjay Jatani ji for sharing their valuable insights. Your experiences have illuminated pathways for our members aspiring to contribute globally. And it was wonderful to see such engagement, such vibrant engagement from the members across the geographies. Thank you once again so much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rashi, and thank you for the opportunity to share. Members can contact us on LinkedIn if they have any questions.
Sure, ma'am.
And do
Thank
visit
you.
our website Singapore Chartered Accountants, where we have quite a lot of presentations with respect to our speakers, which we keep sharing regularly over there.
Surely. So I expect the members would be reaching out to you on further questions, if any.
Thank you.
Moving to
Thank
the
you so much.
second session, that is Unveiling Potential, Exploring Opportunities in Emerging Asia. Emerging Asia is dynamic, fast moving, and bursting with opportunities. These markets are hungry for expertise, reforms, and innovations. For chartered accountants, this region offers vast potential to support business growth, governance, capacity building. So we have our keynote will be delivered by CS Subodh Kumar Agarwal ji, past president of ICI and past president of SAFA. Subodhji is one of the most dynamic leaders of our profession with over 34 years of experience. He has served as president of ICI in 2013, vice president in 2012, and chairman of EIRC in 2006. He has contributed significantly through roles with RBI, SEBI, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, CAG, NACAS, and on boards such as IRDAI and Quality Review Board. On the international front, he has represented India as the president of the South Asian Federation of Accountants, as a board member of the Confederation of Asian and Pacific Accountants, and as a member of IFAC SMP committee. He brings expertise in accounting, auditing, SEBI matters, corporate law, M&A, and capital restructuring. With diverse sectorial exposure and international recognition, Subodhji continues to be a guiding force for our professional globally. He has delivered lectures in various seminars and conferences organized by ICI, Chamber of Commerce and international forums in US, Canada, Rome, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Australia. We are honored to have you with us today, sir.
Thank you, Rasi, for your kind words for me. You were talking about the time maintenance in the Indian context. In fact, I was given 3:30 time. I'm finding it is 4 o'clock. In fact, COVID has made improvement. I will say 90% improvement in Indian working. Today, we are more punctual than we used to be before COVID. See, since you told me, I mean, organizer told me to be there at 3:30. I had some other meeting at 4 o'clock. I agreed that yes, it will start at 3:30 because I know that at least virtually we go with time. Anyway, without wasting further time, I will go to the topics straightforward. Thanks for giving me this opportunity for sharing my thought. I mean, the theme is fantastic, and navigating global opportunity. Where my session topic is it is unveiling potential, exploring opportunities in emerging Asia. Today, even though I have traveled across globe, but my experience of the Asia has been fantastic. I fully concur with the earlier speaker of Singapore chapter. Asia, I find one of the most happening and most emerging. When we talk about navigating global opportunities, one region that stands out as the epicenter of the future, in my view, is Asia, which is emerging. This region, Rafi, we all understand it includes India, Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, Bangladesh, Nepal, and other countries. There has been some upheavals in those countries which happens across the globe, and nothing new, and we should not be scared. I mean, if you don't have some problem in your life, it is not a life, it's a machine. So in country also, those kind of upheavals are there. But these are the countries, these are the region, Asian region, which are one of the fastest growing and it is the fastest growing engine of the world economy. Again, if I look at the demography, the youthfulness, the expanding middle class, the rapid urbanization, the rising digital adoption, you were talking about AI. We all talk today. We all feel like, yes, we are expert in technology, though we know only 1% or 5%. The ambitious reforms that has been done, the rising disposal incomes that is at our disposal, and which is driving demand for branded goods. I look at my kids who are only vying for the branded goods, where I used to spend 5%, they are spending 100%. I mean, if I look at that, because, I mean, and there is a reason for that: education, healthcare, lifestyle. It is that. And more than half of the world's middle class consumers will soon live here. I mean, in the this part of the world, which creating demand for everything that is technology, that is infrastructure, that is energy, that is healthcare, and that is lifestyle services. Madam, the rise of startup, where we feel that we are we are one of the pioneer, the fintech ecosystem. Again, the earlier speaker also said that nobody can beat in technical. Maybe in some of the aspect they had their reservation, but they are also have. I feel that 90% we have improved. Only 10% is required, and the manufacturing hub that is coming up. And I always take the crisis as a boon. The recent US some imposition of tariff, I feel this crisis will bring us more stronger, in particular to this region. And the digital economy is reshaping the traditional business models. The way we used to practice 30 years back when I started practice, and the way it is being done today, everything and anything, I can get the reply. If I have a knowledge, I can use AI, chat GPT, and all the tools. But if I don't have the knowledge, I'll recommend not to use those, not to touch also. That may be a soccer rather than a boon to you. Madam, this startup, as I said, government across the region are investing heavily in sustainable development. That's a buzzword today. And why we are investing in sustainable development? Just to achieve climate and social goal, so that, and for that we are upgrading the infrastructure, renewable energy, and technology driven governance. The lesson is very clear. Emerging Asia is not one uniform market. It's not one uniform market. It is a mosaic of opportunities, varied opportunities, and opportunity for everybody. I'm not only restricting to the professionals, and if I restricting to professionals also, not only chartered accountant, for all, in all area it will be there. So if you feel even being a chartered accountant, good as an entrepreneur, the opportunities are there. Good as a technology, AI knowledge, the opportunity is there. Good as a financial wizard, opportunities are there. Good as an accountant, the opportunities are there. So it's a vast on a global level, and emerging Asia is a story of transformation. Earlier, we used to see Singapore is rising, or some 20 years back, Malaysia is rising, or 30, some 15 years back, Indonesia is rising. Today, the entire Asian region is rising. Think of it this way, madam. The West gave us the Industrial Revolution. China became the factory of the world. And now, emerging Asia is shaping up the innovation frontier. You are talking about innovation, and the consumption is the engine of the future. Why I am very confident that US tariff will not hamper us because of the consumption. We have the consumer, where you will get this 140 crore of the population, the consumer. So it is there. So we, once we are able to convert it, as a factory of the world. I mean, we will be able to entirely consume here itself. What makes this region again remarkable? Not only its scale, but its diversity. India is reimaging itself, and you find digital. We are proceeding, moving like anything. Now, Apple, you look at Apple. Apple is trying to make iPhone hub, manufacturing hub, India. Now, Vietnam, if you look at Vietnam, it's positioning itself as a electronic and manufacturing powerhouse. If you look at Indonesia, we all know, who understand a little bit, and we read the newspaper, that vast resources, electrical vehicle, that nickel reserve for EV, which we may not get from some of the country, and which we are looking at China. Now, Indonesia has a vast resource for that. So alternatively, we can get from there. Bangladesh is becoming global hub for textile. Here and there, some ups and downs may be there, but that is a reality. The digital economy is exploding with e-commerce, fintech, AI, etc., etc. What makes this region particularly attractive? Its openness for the collaboration and knowledge sharing. Even Singapore has said whatever they have knowledge, they put on the website. That's small, maybe 0.0001%, but knowledge sharing, unlike most of the mature economy, emerging Asia is still building its institutional framework, regulatory system, and governance model. And it gives a unique opportunity to all of us, particularly the chartered accountant, to add value, not only as a service provider, but as a partner in development. As we say in India, partner in nation building, which was coined some 10, 15 years back and was given by one of the Honorable President of India, that we can be partner in the development. I can give one of my experience wherein Bhutan, for the development of the institute there, I offered my services pro bono because I felt it's a partner in setting up an institute. There, likewise, we are doing that. As young professional, emerging Asia is more than just a destination. It's a platform to save the future. For youngs, their future is more important, how that is being saved. This is where tomorrow's multinational will emerge, where digital first business model will dominate, where sustainability will become central to corporate strategy. That's why, madam, I recommend the young chartered accountant to invest in themselves on digital skill, sustainability reporting, cross-cultural relevance. Here, chartered accountants, this dynamic landscape offers unprecedented opportunity. Madam, global chapters, the institute has done a lot of things. Global chapter MOU has been signed. The committee has developed and launched accounting process outsourcing APO portal, and the WTO committee has done a fantastic work in this regard. At the same time, since I have been president of SAFA, SAFA has been instrumental in fostering cooperation among South Asian nations, creating a stronger professional ecosystem that is well aligned with the needs of the Asia. In conclusion, and to end and to put to rest this submission, emerging Asia is not simply a geography. Let us not divide it by geography in 5 geography or 6 geography. It is opportunity to be part of the history in the making. It's not history. It's going to be history. So we will be part of that history making. That means opportunities are there. That means it is emerging. The next decade of global growth will be written in not the entire world, but in emerging Asia. This is not just another growth story. It is the growth story of our time. It is the growth story of younger chartered accountant. Madam, with this, I again thanks the organizer for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts with all the audience. I wish ICI Global Week great success in unlocking new pathway for global professional excellence. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, C.A. Subodh Kumar ji, for your insightful keynote address. Your vast international exposure and deep understanding of regulatory, professional, and global opportunities have truly enriched today's session. The perspectives you shared will certainly guide our members in navigating emerging Asian markets with confidence. Thank you once again on behalf of the ICI.
Thank you, madam. Thanks a lot. May I take your leave since I have another meeting to attend, ma'am?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Moving towards our speaker, C.A. Karthik Rao, I am pleased to welcome him. C.A. Karthik is a strategic GPS leader with 23 years of global experience and IIM alumnus. He has built, scaled, and transformed multi-tower shared services across finance, HR, IT, and compliance. He has successfully launched high-impact global capacity centers, led SAP-driven carve-outs, and delivered AI-enabled operating models. Currently, he oversees multi-country global finance shared service team at Accenture, leading several digital transformation initiatives. His forward-leaning leadership style, anchored in agility and operational excellence, has earned him the recognition of Best Finance Leader in a Hybrid World at 9th NXT Gen CFO Award 2025. With proven ability to unlock enterprise value of over $50 million, CA Karthik represents the blend of finance governance, technology, and business strategy, making him a true visionary in GC's space. Over to you, CA Karthik.
Thank you so much, Rashiji. And I'd like to thank everybody before me who actually set the foundation, including Subodhji. So the topic that we have today is unveiling potential and exploring opportunities in emerging Asia. So first off, welcome to the ICI Global Week, everyone. So we are gathering under the theme saying navigating global opportunities. Now I'm honored to be speaking before you, not just merely as a speaker, but also as a fellow navigator, right? And considering what I consider the most consequential economic transformation of our professional lifetime. We often hear, emerging Asia, but let me get to the topic one by one. So unveiling potential. So this is going to be the next 45 minutes to 50 minutes that I'm going to talk about. Isn't going to be about incremental adjustments to your existing practice. Now it's about reimagining, your professional identity. It's about talking about potentials, right? So we're looking at how you can reimagine your professional identity in the context of what the IMF has actually termed as the Asian century. And then when I'm looking at emerging Asia, we keep saying Asia has already emerged, like Subodhji just mentioned. Emerging means for me, the process is still unfolding, right? But I think it's already there. So we've already arrived in a way from an Asia point of view. And I will show how. The way I've structured this entire journey that we will be taking over is I'll start with the macro trends. I will talk about the macro trends, how it's impacted the whole thing. Then I'll come down to market dynamics. And then I'll move down to service categories. And then I will talk about market entry strategies. And then finally, my idea as an audience for you maybe is to have an action roadmap. Hopefully you can deploy it, and in the next 90 days you can see yourself going somewhere in this area. That's my objective. So let's move into the new Asian century. So why are we saying the new Asian century, right? So this Asia Pacific region now represents almost 46.61% of the global economy. And like Subodhji also mentioned, this will by 2034. Okay, what's amazing about this is just not about the part of the share that we're talking about. It's the velocity of the growth. 2034, just 9 years from now, will account for almost 80% of the global middle class growth. Subodhji mentioned this, saying the global middle class growth, but I thought I'll give you an example of what it means. Just imagine the populations of the US and the Europe together. That's nearly about the size of the 80% that we're talking about. So that's the size of the target audience in a way if you actually look at it. Now, each of these individuals, families will need financial services, wealth management, tax planning. All these services sit squarely within our professional domain, right? Now, beyond all this macro, we will start peeling these macro trends one by one, as they call it, peeling the onion. And then we will start looking at, you'll see us start seeing a story that will develop, which is one of prosperity embedded within volatility, and another one is about opportunity within disruption. So let's look at what each of the data says. So one, the data-driven growth story that you're talking about. So data always tell a story to those who want to listen, right? So Asia's economic indicators are telling a remarkable tale that the emerging Asian countries is delivering 5 to 7% GDP growth, consistently expansion year after year, whereas your developed countries are actually struggling to keep 2 to 3% trajectory. Countries like Vietnam, they're maintaining a robust 6.8 growth and growth trajectory throughout 2025, while countries like Indonesia and Philippines continue to outpace the Western economies by factors of 2 and 3 as well. Now, what's particularly compelling is the projection that ASEAN exports will reach an unprecedented 2.8 trillion by 2025. Wow. I'll just let the number sink in. It's 2.8 trillion by 2025. Now, this was from a region that wasn't even considered a significant economic bloc like 25 to 30 years back. So for chartered accountants, this is not just an academic observation, right? It's a seismic shift in basically where the complex financial services will be demanded. The question isn't now whether the market will grow. The question is whether we will grow along with the markets. Now, growth alone will not tell the entire complete story. So let's look at where the funding is coming from, where the capital is flowing, and why does it matter to our profession? Now, capital inflows reveal investor confidence more honestly than any other market commentary. So right now, you can see where the capital is actually flowing. 230 billion is the capital flow to ASEAN countries that we are talking about, of which 71 billion is to India alone. And for a country like Vietnam, which is smaller than many of the Indian states, it's almost 39 billion. So that's the kind of global investor confidence that we're talking about. So, and the other fascinating part, which I thought when I did some research around this, is it's just not capital flowing. It's also the way the diversification of these investments. For example, Philippines has attracted 12 billion in terms of manufacturing relocations from China. And Vietnam's electronic exports continue the exponential growth. So it's all different sectors also. All the eggs are not in the same basket. So what does it mean for us as financial professionals, right? I think this investment magnetism, as I call it, causes immediate opportunities, creates immediate opportunities in 3 critical domains. One is cross-border transaction advisory. The second is capital structure optimization. The third one is multi-jurisdiction tax planning. Now, each relocated factory, each new regional headquarters, each expanded operations requires sophisticated financial architecture, precisely the expertise that we as CAs can provide. But again, capital alone doesn't drive growth. Success ultimately depends on human capital. So, which brings us to an interesting paradox, which I thought I will highlight to all of you, which I call the talent paradox. I think Sanjeevji also mentioned this somewhere when he spoke about this.
So despite Asia's economic vitality, the region faces a critical shortage of qualified financial professionals. Singapore, for example, needs 30,000 accounting professionals over the next 5 years. Vietnam's emerging financial services sector requires 50,000 qualified experts, but produces only 10,000 annually. So there is a gap, right? And this talent gap is what I call the CA arbitrage opportunity. A situation where our Indian chartered accountants, with the world-class qualifications that we have, English proficiency, and global perspective, can command a premium compensation while delivering exceptional value. Now, this is also actually shown in what's happening as current trends, right? So you see a lot of companies like countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai are aggressively recruiting Indian chartered accountants with offers that includes tax breaks, also potential pathways to residency. The foreign career opportunities to Indian chartered accountants, essentially have at least salary differential of 30 to 40% when compared to domestic positions that we're talking about. Now, personally, for me, having led multinational, multi-country finance teams across Asia, I can attest firsthand that those who understand both the Indian and the international frameworks possess an extraordinary competitive advantage. They become essentially the translators between financial systems and the business cultures. But this talent mobility at this point in time is not happening only in isolation. It is also creating some risks. There is it's happening at the backdrop of a geopolitical situation, right? Which is creating both risks and opportunities. So let's look at this geopolitical analysis as well. So US-China tensions, as we all talked about, have fundamentally reshaped Asia's economic landscape, creating what I would call as a golden triangle of opportunity. So there is a China plus one catalyst now. Because of tariff, China is basically rerouting a lot of their investments and exports to other countries in the emerging Asia, the ASEAN countries. For example, the FDI Consulting's report says that between April and August 2025 alone, China redirected approximately 68 to 70 billion of exports away from the US to alternative markets. Now that massive capital flow didn't disappear. It just simply redirected and reallocated throughout emerging Asia. And another fascinating part from this is also what I consider the ASEAN countries' ability to kind of what I call strategic portfolio management. So they're able to handle multiple powers without making too much of a noise in that sense. So, for example, Malaysia's trade with Russia surged 63% year on year, but it's still in Q1 2025, and while maintaining a robust around 80.2 billion trade with the US. And this is not actually political ambivalence, if you ask me. It's more financial pragmatism. So what does it mean for us as chartered accountants, right? So these geopolitical shifts that we're talking about create immediate demand. We're talking about immediate demand for specialized services. What is it? Like supply chain restructuring. We're talking about regulatory arbitrage strategies. We're talking about creating risk mitigation frameworks. Now, another example of a country is Vietnam, where a lot of the exports are going via, and that's China plus one catalyst that we're talking about. So that's where Vietnam's, like I mentioned earlier, Vietnam's exports also have been increasing. So on an average, we are in a much more riskier environment as compared to before when, as per the reports, it's almost 30% higher riskier than where we were before. So speaking of risk, let's get to the next area that we're talking about, which is more the governance environment as such, right? What is the governance environment across Asia? Now, like Subhoji mentioned, all the markets are not created equal here, especially when it comes to emerging Asia. The governance indicators across Asia reveal various levels of institutional maturity, from Singapore's world-class regulatory environment to more challenging compliance landscapes in frontier markets. Now, this is the one which I'm sharing over here is across. I just realized that the legends are not clear. It's government effectiveness, the rule of law, and control of corruption. So on these three indicators, where each of these countries are. So you can see that Bangladesh is the lowest, whereas Thailand performs better on certain aspects, but not on certain aspects. Like India has been significantly doing well in most of those areas. So there is a lot of distribution differences over here. And when Singapore offers near perfect legal certainty, some countries like Vietnam and Indonesia present more complex compliance environment. Now, this is crucial. But as this environment provides a risk, there lies the opportunity, the way I see it. So I've seen that these governance gaps are basically what creates a premium service opportunities, right, for qualified professional. Where compliance is most challenging, that's where the expert guidance commands the highest value. So I just want to throw a thought to everybody in the audience over here. What if risk mitigation itself becomes your core service offering? What I would call, considering helping companies to navigate around this thing, what if you are able to give a core offering as mitigation as a service? So uncertainty isn't merely a challenge, right, to manage. It's actually a service category to monetize. So if you are looking at mitigation as a service, this is not traditional compliance work. I'm not talking about traditional compliance work here. This is about creating a comprehensive risk management framework that allow clients to basically navigate complex environments with confidence. So it includes enhanced due diligence protocols. It could also include geopolitical risk assessments, cross-jurisdictional compliance architectures, regulatory horizon scanning. All these will actually help navigate a lot more confident for the country, for the organizations that want to set up these multi-country setups a lot more confidently. In fact, this is not new. There are many of the consulting firms are already doing it. Some of the big organizations are doing it already. They're providing this as a service. And for example, in my experience, I've seen where a mid-sized Indian IT services firm expanding to Vietnam faced complex labor regulations, foreign ownership restrictions, unfamiliar tax liabilities. An accounting firm actually helped created a comprehensive market entry risk framework for them. So they gave a very comprehensive market entry risk framework. It not only ensured compliance, but also optimized the entire expansion strategy for these people. So what happens when you move from just compliance to consulting? It's a lot more premium that you command in terms of the fees, right? And that's exactly what happened there. So we're already moving into the service category area. So let's move into the target sectors. I'll start with the traditional target sectors that we're talking about, which is basically tax, audit, and advisory. Now, these are our core services, right? This is what we have been doing for a long time. Now, these are not becoming obsolete in the emerging Asia. They've been radically reimagined and revalued. Let me show you how. I put on certain areas there. So a cross-border tax advisory. Essentially, I've seen a case where a cross-border tax advisory moved from a basic compliance area to what was called as a strategic advantage engineering exercise. So it's more of a corporate term, but strategic advantage engineering. Essentially, what it meant was there was a multinational, manufacturing client expanding from India to Thailand, and basically, there was a team that was able to help them to get 18% effective tax rate reduction through sophisticated transfer pricing structures and treaty utilization, generating at least 10x the value of their traditional compliance costs. Similarly, moving on, another example is an IFRS implementation, right? So this is just a normal, you might call it a technical expertise exercise of just execution, design and execution of this. But I would call it more into a strategic business transformation exercise itself. Like it's more like a business transformation re-engineering exercise when you do that. So I've seen a case where an Indian Asian company adopted IFRS standards, and one of the firms which led the transition basically delivered a 22% valuation premium by strategically timing recognition changes. So even there it matters, not just what you do, but how you do it and when you do it. And what's most important is how are you able to place this service? That's very important. So the question for everyone, every professional here watching is not whether these traditional services have value. It's whether you are positioning them as just commodities or you're positioning them as a strategic imperative for the organization that's taking it. Now that determines whether you standard rates or premium compensation. I hope I made my point clear here. Now, let's move beyond traditional services. Of course, everybody's touched upon this. It's a very lucrative frontier right now, and one where technology and finance converge in ways that were unimaginable like 5 years back. The digital frontier. Now, there is a lot of digital transformation it's just not changing the sweeping across. It's not changing the way how we work. It's fundamentally redefining what we do. And nowhere is this transformation more evident than in emerging Asia's fintech explosion. So you can see that there are 4 key sectors that have been collectively they're supposed to be collectively represent around and surpass, in fact, $50 billion globally by 2025. One is InsurTech, where we're talking about using AI to revolutionize underwriting and claims. Other one is RegTech, where we're talking about automating compliance through machine learning and other technologies. Then there is Wealth Tech, where we are talking about democratizing wealth management. And then finally, digital banking, where 100 new challenges are expected by 2025. Another dimension to this whole thing is about how Hong Kong and Singapore have positioned themselves as Asia's crypto hubs. So creating immediate demand for specialized accounting services. Now, firms offering crypto-specific accounting command 40% higher than traditional services automatically. So for CAs who invest in digital fluency, these are not abstract technologies. They are basically concrete business opportunities. Now, some of the specific niches that I thought where you can really command a high margin service I mentioned it at the bottom, could be digital asset accounting, DeFi protocol compliance, blockchain audit-based trials, and finally, financial transformation implementation for clients. Now, speaking, and this is all for forward-thinking, practitioners who are looking to revolutionize their practice, or even for those who want to do well in their service. Speaking of future-focused services, one area that's growing faster than perhaps any other is sustainability and ESG compliance. You would have figured that out because everybody today has spoken about it. How could I not touch it? So moving into this, just to give you, it's not a passing trend anymore, right? ESG, sustainability is not a passing trend. It's a new foundation of a corporate accountability. And the numbers tell an extraordinary story. So we're looking at 79.46 billion by 2030, with APAC leading at around nearly 30%. And what is interesting in this is 25% of the APAC businesses cite ESG compliance as their top operational challenge. There is an opportunity there. Now, Singapore has implemented ISSB aligned climate disclosures from FY 2025. Hong Kong requires IFRS S2 based reporting from January 2025. Japan has launched their new sustainability standards in March 2025. And each of these jurisdictions creates immediate service opportunities. So, and there are different areas that you can actually work around, right? But why is ESG such a valuable, why is it so valuable as a service category, in my opinion? I've just mentioned a few points below, because one, it's technically complex. So there's a barrier to entry, and it limits the supplier pool. So you can be more competitive. Second, it's an area that has board level visibility, which commands premium rates. And third, it's cross-disciplinary. So it helps our colleagues, chartered accountants, to expand beyond traditional domains. So we can go into other areas as well. That's what it is. All right. So beyond ESG, there is another domain which is also where consistently I've seen that your demand outstrips the supply. There's always a shortage of supply, which is forensic accounting. And this is what I would like to speak about. Now, the Asia Pacific forensic accounting market is growing at a rate of around 11.2% CAGR and is driven by increasing regulatory enforcement and rising fraud detection needs and growing litigation support requirements. Now, other than the regular areas that we have heard about in forensic accounting, I wanted to look at where we could go specialized opportunity areas, right? We are talking about unveiling potential here. So I thought a few areas over here. One is cross-border transaction verification, where you're talking about navigating complex legal frameworks, managing intricacies of international cooperation. Then acquisition due diligence and fraud detection is another area where you're looking at cross-border M&As involving complex legal and financial due diligence, approved from multiple regulatory agencies and compliances. Then we're talking about regulatory investigation support, where if there are investigations, then with regulatory standards, fraudulent activities, we could typically be a part of an investigation. And litigation economic damage assessment, which talks about accurate determination of financial losses in legal cases. And finally, anti-money laundering compliance systems. So how do we strengthen the frameworks? How do we provide tools that get early warning signs, as they call it, right? Or early warning signals, where it could detect suspicious transactions and flag them early on. So what makes forensic accounting so special is basically, again, there's a slight barrier to entry in this, right? It combines technical accounting expertise with investigative methodology and also legal knowledge. So a rare combination, which command rates of a higher premium, essentially. So we have explored market dynamics and basically service categories, right? We looked at traditional areas, we looked at ones which are in high demand and specialized areas. Let's now move to strategies and where can we actually do well? For this, just to help understand this, what I've done is I've actually broken strategy by size. So I've taken large firms, medium firms, small firms. How can each go ahead and what kind of strategy each of the bases can follow? So for large firms, emerging Asia presents opportunities to leverage the most significant advantages that they already have. One is global reach, second is cross-disciplinary capabilities, and third one is brand recognition. So my opinion, strategic focus areas should mainly be on the cross-border M&A advisory, talking about complex international structures, including intellectual property, location, and transfer pricing, and large-scale ESG and assurance engagements. Another good area where these people can play around is on the regulatory license and government authority. So leveraging the institutional credibility that large firms have, they can work around this area as well. Now, what is the key success factor here, right? In today's world, for any large firm, developing an integrated service delivery model is very important. If you are able to create an integrated service delivery model that combine global standards with localized expertise, then you're there. So when I'm talking about global standards with local expertise, this means that it involves investing in both expatriate deployment and local talent development simultaneously. What about mid-sized firms? Now, this strategy requires a slightly different approach. Now, mid-sized firms we're talking more about leveraging agility, specialized expertise, rather than institutional scale. So for mid-tier firms, emerging Asia offers particularly compelling proposition. That is to establish category leadership in specific niches before they become commoditized. Your highest potential opportunities could include digital transformation advisory, which is, and then outsourced CFO services for expanding regional businesses. There could also be sector specialization, that is in becoming the go-to experts in high growth verticals. And an additional work is value chain optimization, where we are looking at trade finance and supply chain optimization for the organization. So what I feel the competitive advantage for a mid-tier firm is what is generally called as responsive specialization, right? The ability to develop an expertise in emerging needs faster than the larger and less agile organizations. That means creating specialized practice groups aligned with regional growth drivers. Finally, let's address what could be the most exciting category for small practices and individual practitioners. Your opportunities don't require institutional scale. They require vision and specialization. So, emerging Asia offers perhaps the most transformative proposition for the small practices and individuals. Why, I would say, the ability to completely reinvent your professional identity and the value proposition. So what I would say is your strategic focus should include market entry services. You could do market entry advisory for smaller enterprises, helping SMEs navigate. We're talking about specialized compliance niches, becoming go-to expert in a particular strategic regulatory domain. We're talking about partnership networks, right, where you create value through strategic associations. And also looking at digital first practice models. We're talking about cloud, we're talking about AI, where we're looking at how institutions can actually leverage this and move on. Small SMEs that cannot really put their money into large scale transformation labs. So this essentially being the first point of contact for you. And if you're able to create a high margin niche, like one of the people I know, they have created a niche in only oncology diagnostic hospital. It's a part of a hospital, not part of the hospitals is oncology diagnosis. That's the specialty that we're done. And they do accounting for that. And you won't believe the amount of business that he's able to get. He started with Philippines, and then now pretty much he's expanded across the other countries in and around Philippines. So the most successful small practitioner I've observed don't try to compete with largest firms on scope. They deliberately narrow their focus, like I mentioned now, to become the undisputed authority in the micro niches. So, think micro niche. Larger organization should not even consider, they should be considering it too specialized to pursue. It's not worth their time or money to basically pursue. Those are the kind of micro niches, which are high margin micro niches, where I say we should aim to look at and focus. So we've come to, we looked at markets, we looked at services, we looked at firm specific strategies. Now let's put all these actionable insights that I've been talking about into a roadmap and see, for your Asian Odyssey, what can we do immediately? How can we start? So I've broken this into a, 30, 60, 90-day roadmap or a plan, where first 30 days, you look at market intelligence, you do comprehensive market research, then you assess your current skill portfolio, do a fit gap, as we call it, right, on your skills. Where is the gap existing? What kind of skills are required? Then identify specific technological and regulatory upskilling opportunities. And then in the next 30 days, you build on this and develop specialized expertise in high demand areas. You establish strategic partnerships. You start to explore potential client engagements. And then in the last 60 to 90 days, you basically pilot your proof of concept. You come to a proof of concept and you start piloting your initial market strategies, implement first cross-border technology-enabled service offerings if you have any, and then also continuously monitor it and see if you have to make any course corrections, right, that you have to do around that. In terms of skilling and upskilling, somebody asked this question earlier also. So what is the kind of skill that we have to kind of do and to upskill ourselves. I've put it as an A square, B square, C square, D square as the upskilling domains. So basically, if you're looking at two A's, analytics and adaptation, business networking and behavioral finance, compliance and cultural integration, judicial fluency, sorry, there's a mistake there, there's a typo, and deployment strategy. So if we are able to get these 8, if you become a master of these areas, you will find themselves in extraordinary demand across emerging Asia. Trust me, not just emerging Asia, but since we are restricting our topic here in emerging Asia, I'm talking about emerging Asia. So I think essentially, if I have to condense and distill whatever I've been talking for a long, all these few minutes, I would say stop thinking like a compliance officer and start donning the hat of a financial architect who designs structures that optimize tax, minimize risk, and maximize values across different jurisdictions. So to conclude, I just go back to where I started, right? Saying, look at the size of the region that we talked about and the talent paradox and the areas that the geopolitical environment that we have in. So that is the reason why I say, and I still believe, that emerging Asia is not emerging. It's already here. But opportunity without action is merely a spectator sport, as I read somewhere. And knowledge without implementation is just expensive information. The question isn't whether these opportunities exist. They do. The question isn't whether they are accessible to Indian chartered accountants. They are. The question is whether we have the vision to see them, the courage to pursue them, and the persistence to capture them. Remember, growth cannot be taught. Growth has to be caught. So I would recommend choose your market, master your niche, build your network, and scale your expertise. The future of our profession isn't being written in London or New York. It's written right here, right now. The Asian century has begun. Your moment is now. The choice is yours. I wish you all success and thank you for the wonderful opportunity by the committee, all the ST members here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karthik, for covering the opportunities in detail. Yes, I agree. Shift in mindset from compliance officer to financial architect is, yes, the need of the hour. Just having few questions to ask you so that our members get the insight. What you suggest if you had to advise a young CA to choose between the developed market and an emerging Asian economy, what would influence that choice?
I would say for a young chartered accountant, a developed market is always a good place to start. Simply
Okay.
because there is structure there is framework there. So it gives you the necessary foundations and they are ahead. When compared to an emerging market, because emerging market is much more complex. Having said that, if you are in a position and if you can leverage this, like Subodhji mentioned, this is the future, I feel. With all the uncertainty and risk that's happening, our market is opening up in a big way. So definitely, if you are there in this position and if you are able to utilize this, you should leverage your experience here. Otherwise, if you are completely a fresher and you're just started out now, I would say developed market is a good place to start because there is framework there is foundation there's a bit of structure there.
Thank you for answering it so well. Second question we have, do you see the increased opportunities for outsourcing accounting and compliance work to India? And how, again, the Indian CA can tap on these remote opportunities?
Yeah, I do see a lot of opportunities for outsourced accounting, but I don't think we should be calling them as outsourced accounting anymore. Basically, we are just going to be global firms that will have partnerships and our own firms across different countries, which will be performing accounting services or financial services that will be given. There is a lot of opportunity. India, like they said, the talent that is available here and our technical know-how along with the global perspective is unbeatable. I think the key here is to look at how you commoditize your service offering, right? Rather than just keep it as a service. My recommendation is to make it into a product Now, how do you make it as a product? It could be a, it could be shaped on a technical platform. It could be in a different global network, whichever way. But if you are able to give that service, and I think what will determine the future of this is mainly on the user experience. So ultimately, our clients or our people whom we do the work for, if they are able to see that you can provide a lot of value to what you're doing, and that's where the GCC industry also is going. They're no longer cost centers; they're all value centers. They're all supposed to unlock value. So if you are able to articulate what value you are bringing to the business, then I think that's the key that you're looking at. But there are a lot of opportunities there. It's a very big market today.
Thank you, Karthik, for saying. Moving to the next question, what role do ICI chapters abroad play in bridging the opportunities for the Indian Chartered Accountants as per you?
Okay. I think the very presence of this global week, I think is a big start, right, for what we are talking about. Now, I honestly was in practice long back, but most of my career now has been on the service side of things. But the fact that we are also able to come here and share our knowledge and share our experience and what we are able to do, and I think is amazing. And what I heard, and it was an eye opener for me as well, our colleagues from Singapore chapter talking about what the chapter is doing there. So I think ICI as a whole, we are doing a lot, not just locally. I think locally, they will do anything to support us, I guess, to help us establish. But it is up to us to basically locally get to business networking, right? Help around finding out people who can partner with you and what is the area that you want to specialize in. I think those are the areas that where we can do. But I think the institute is doing, and kudos to the institute, we are doing a lot of stuff around navigating these global opportunities. And this entire week, I think, is going to be a enriched sessions, all the knowledge sharing that's going to happen.
Thank you so much, Karthik, for your time. On behalf of ICI, I sincerely thank CA Subodh Kumar Agarwal ji and CA Karthik Rao ji for their rich perspectives. Your thoughts truly highlight how emerging Asia is becoming a powerhouse of opportunities for all chartered accountants specifically. As chartered accountants, we are not just observers of India's growth story, we are partners in shaping it. This is truly very being insightful journey so far. So let's move to our next session that would promise to take it further. Thank you so much, Karthik.
Thank you.
So our next session today would be focusing on the global capability centers, a fast evolving space where India has emerged as a global leader. It's my honor to welcome CA Sanjib Sangiji. Sangiji is a seasoned chartered accountant with over 26 years of experience in practice, digital transformation, and capacity building. He is the partner at S.N. Banerjee and Company and newly elected Central Council member of ICI 2025-2029. He currently plays key roles as Vice Chairman of Board of Studies, Operations, Convener of the Directorate of Global Capability Centers, and Deputy Convener in several other directorates. In his impactful tenure as Chairman of EIRC, he launched initiatives like Udan, Celebrating Womanhood, Voice of Diamonds, and Run at the Rate 75, setting new benchmarks for inclusion and professional development. Beyond ICI, he actively contributes to MCCI, TIE Kolkata, MSME forums, Lions clubs, and more. He is also the co-author of the Digital Professional and MSME Shorts. His visions focuses on globalizing Indian chartered accountants, strengthening ICI's digital presence, and driving collaboration with industry worldwide. We are excited to have you here with us to hear your thoughts on this transformative space. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Rashi, for a wonderful introductions, and good afternoon to all of you. Like this opportunity, when we talk about GCC, this is not a new activity or not a new initiative, but Institute of Chartered Accountants of India 6 months back, have created a group under this international trade laws, trade services and WTO directorate, a group to promote India as accounting GCC. And in this last 6 months of getting this group activated, we have already concluded two summits, one at Delhi, one at Ahmedabad, and we are in the line to do another GCC summit in Hyderabad on 9th and 10th of October, followed by Pune on 28th and 29th of November. Now, the question comes, what is this GCC is all about? And how come chartered accountants are so actively and so important in this? And how can we position ourselves or take this as an opportunity? Is this really relevant for us? I think these are 3, 4 questions which I'm going to answer in next 7 to 10 minutes of my deliberation, which are very, very important. What used to be a captive center, if you talk about India as a destination, an outsourcing destination, the major reasons were three. One was the turnaround time. While the America was sleeping, or the east part of the country, western part of the country was sleeping, we were awake. So there was 24/7. So turnaround time was one important factor. The second important factor was cost arbitrage. The supply of people doing regular mundane tasks or regular recurring work was cheaper. So the Americans and other parts of the world were starting outsourcing their work to us of transactional processing, reconciliation, and various audit or secretarial jobs and many other related activities. In fact, IT, information technology industry, got a boom in the 90s and 2000s because of these important areas. And the third important thing, other than the turnaround time and the cost, was the location factor. So now in GCC, what is happening, the full form which we call is Global Capability Center, the challenge which was posed with outsourcing was there was not enough control. And slowly, with the advent of AI, ESG, and many other specialized knowledge, people are looking for more strategic role, more closer look, more value-based services. So global capability centers started coming up in India. And currently we have more than 1800 plus GCC in the country. And let me tell you, if India is going to be the largest economy of the world, GCC is going to play a very, very important role, wherein these companies are having complete control of most of the controls in terms of compliance, in terms of standardization, in terms of SOPs, checklists. And we as chartered accountants are involved in designing the systems and strategizing this whole thing. So we are not just compliance. And that's the reason why when we are doing this summit, as a convener of this group on an all India basis, when we are designing this entire summit, we are having a theme which is called From Ledgers to Global Leadership. So gone are the days when we were called, traditional accountants or Munimjis. Today, chartered accountants are global leaders. They are actually, coming up and shaping the whole ecosystem. And approximately 85 to 90,000 chartered accountants are currently involved in GCC because they go back and they work on leadership roles of, strategizing the whole thing, doing the funding part, mergers and acquisitions, transfer pricing, international taxation, sustainability, AI. So these roles were not very relevant in the past. Because what was happening is the shift from hindsight to insight to foresight. So what we were doing and what we are doing today is mostly working on the historical data, which means we have already done the transactions, the invoices are done, the payments are done, and we are just accumulating, summarizing, and reporting it to the regulators. Now, what is happening is that the insight and the foresight is coming into play. When we talk about insights, basically analysis of data, which is around you, working on a connected system wherein you have multiple systems in the organization, how you connect all the system as an architect, as a chartered accountant, understanding the objective of the business, and actually build a system so that that can give real KPI, real dashboard on on a real time. Sorry. And taking it forward with the foresight. What is the predictive analysis of this entire thing? Now, can you believe that now today's chartered accountants are actually playing this role? And when we talk about the entire world, since there is a lot of aging issues which is going on, which are dearth of accounting, the accountants across the world are declining at a very faster rate. So now they are heavily dependent to come to India to outsource and to get their accounting, management, and administrative functions done from these GCC. And that's where chartered accountants are going to play a very, very important role in this entire ecosystem. So what you can do, what you need to start with, I'll say three important factors. One is the mindset. Gone are the days when we think that we are only going to work on compliance, because bookkeeping, auditing, GST, regular work, all of these which can be done by machines, so which can be done by machines, will be taken over by machines. So what we need to do is that we need to start, being more adaptable, more adaptive towards the change, and start upskilling ourselves, reskilling, upskilling, and acquiring new skills. Start upskilling ourselves by attending these summits, by going through all these different subjects, meeting and networking with people, connecting with them, engaging with them, and somehow, come up with your bouquet of services with a lot of networking together, so that you have all those bouquet of services which are required. So the mindset of changing yourself with the time is very, very important. Acquiring the right skills is again going to play a very, very important role, wherein you say, all right, I want to be an expert. I want to be a specialist and not a generalist. So that one, second important factor is very important. Third, and the most important factor is acquiring, understanding the tools. What are the relevant tools on AI? What are the relevant tools on cloud? So basically practicing that and taking use of that. So your office should be paperless. You can run your office, your team, your client, your management anytime from anywhere. That should be the way you need to build up your digital office, because tomorrow, if you go and meet these global leaders, they will ask you a question. Are you digitally ready? Are you globally ready? Are you industry ready? Are you GCC ready? So if you have answer to these questions, that yes, we have built a digital infrastructure, we have those specialized skills, and we have these ecosystem and the team with us, this is an opportunity for you. The world is more towards collaboration. It's more towards getting together into all this ecosystem. So I look forward for a lot of questions, going forward and being a part of this GCC ecosystem, because what used to be seen for GCC, that GCC is for IT people. Today we say chartered accountants understands the business requirement, understands the objective much better than any other professionals, with all due respect, because we work into the core system of business processes. And if we start designing those systems with working with different professionals across, I think we can play a much, much, much value-based service. So we are looking for India as a financial hub for the entire world. And we are looking at chartered accountants to be the accountant, the global accountant of the entire world. And with this GCC as an opportunity, I think this is definitely going to happen. So thank you, Rashi, for being with us, and to the entire team who had been with us. This is a very, very short discussion which I wanted to share in this limited 10 or 15 minutes time frame. But yes, uh, believe in India, believe in what is happening now, because India and ICAI is now the largest accounting body of the world. We are the youngest country, and the whole world is now looking upon us in this global week which Institute is doing. I think GCC is the most important factor which is going to change the entire thought process of we as chartered accountants. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the crisp insights, for those inspiring words on global capability centers, your vision on how CAs can play a pivotal role in driving innovation, digital transformation, and global integration has given our members a great clarity. As you rightly highlighted, the future lies not just in working on the past data, but yes, in building the real KPIs, dynamic dashboards, predictive foresights, and for that, upskilling and upscaling ourselves is very important. It is right time for us to, yes, convert our offices into paperless offices, being digital, and that's where the chartered accountants can truly add value globally. With this, we conclude today's session. On behalf of ICI, I extend gratitude to all our esteemed speakers and to our members worldwide for their active participation. I believe all of us are walking away with not just knowledge, but yes, inspiration that is required. A message of today is clear. Asia is a growing engine, and chartered accountants are its navigators. Thank you all and wishing you success throughout the ICI Global Week. And thank you, Sangiji, for the insights.
Thanks, Rashi. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes. So I'm logging out.
Thank you. The session was useful because